And we are live.
All right, here we go. From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Greed Factory.
Why will they do it sheer perversity?
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
And tonight we're going to regale you with all kinds of stuff. We got all kinds of data tonight. We got Christmas to talk about, video games, TV. We've just run the gauntlet of things to talk about. Yes, we've consumed as much culture as we can. Belated Merry Christmas to everyone, and hopefully you have a Happy New Year. We had Christmas, and it was pretty exciting. Though we were far, far away from each other, we still shared the Christmas joy. Conlon was very generous and sent me and my family a nice, giant Amazon gift card that we will parlay into many, many small gifts. Christmas will never end, at least for another month, until I bought a few things, but until we run out of gift cards and other exciting stuff.
Well, it was the easiest thing to deliver by email, so it could get to you in time, and it was easy to buy. I bought it and standing in a restaurant the day
Hey, that's great.
on Christmas Eve.
I'm a big proponent of Amazon, so go right ahead. I mean, it's the best thing ever.
I wanted to buy different gift cards and then like email everybody like the code or text everybody the code like here's your gift, but like nothing really does that.
No, what you did is fine because we there was things he needed for his his entertainment room, which used to be his bedroom. There's TVs mounted on the wall now and all kinds of and recliners and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff we needed to get for him, like cables and whatnot. And it's like, well, yeah, your uncle gave you that gift certificate, so you're buying that stuff. It's that's it. You want this? That's that's how we're doing it because we have to economize over here. And and it's fun. Ordering stuff on Amazon is just like it is so fast now, and how it gets here, it's like it's just like it saves me a trip. It saves me dealing with assholes.
Yeah.
Even though I pay.
And you get a box.
Yeah, I get a box to keep that no one steals off of your porch, to the amazement of both Russian and Japanese people. It's like in America,
steal it? Well,
they
yeah,
leave boxes on your porch and they don't steal them. Well, if you live in where is it? Well, if I lived in really bad
you
parts,
live in a big city, like in like any place.
Yeah, people steal it.
Yeah. If there's any place where there's like large trafficked areas of people, like people will take shit off your porch for sure.
Well, I guess I remember I heard about this on dude, in Seattle. It's so bad and then Amazon is based around there, and they actually have Amazon boxes that are open 24 hours, and the post or whoever delivers it there, because the heroin addicts will nothing can sit on your porch for 5 seconds, and there's not a bunch of junkies showing up to steal the shit.
I can't wait to see like meth addicts with like net guns shooting down the copters as they like
Oh my
deliver shit
God,
on your
it's gonna
porch.
be mental. Because aren't they doing
I
that?
got the shit and I got the copter. I'm holding it hostage.
Want your copter back? Yeah.
It's got GPS in it, and then like a SWAT team raids and shoots everybody on the head.
Yep. It's the season for police killing.
Well, no, it's a private military contractor.
PMC. It's Atlas. They're coming. But anyway, one of the things I got for Christmas from my wife was this is the Leatherman OHT, which I have a light here. I'm trying to do this so we can see things, actually. This is the first one-handed Leatherman.
Ah.
So it's spring-loaded jaw. Everything is external and can be deployed one-handed. So like if you need a knife, Well, if you need a seatbelt ripper / can opener, you got that. If you need a really sharp, dangerously sharp knife, you got that.
That one.
You know, it's just the saw is here, but the whole thing is built around one-handed operation.
Does it still like split open?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Is there like stuff on the inside too? Or is
Nope,
everything on
there's
the
nothing
outside?
on the inside.
Huh.
It's all on the outside.
That's cool.
Nicely rounded handles, but no split and flip or anything. It's kind of a, I forget who did I think the SOG made the first one-handed one, and then everyone else is following suit. But this is and it has a little lock on it, so you can turn it so it doesn't deploy. But it's not really spring loaded. It's just because there's 2 tabs here, retaining tabs. You pop them and pull them.
Yeah.
Riveting podcast for people who don't have the visual component.
Mine's like, mine has all of the 4 outside knives like that, but you still have to open it up to use the pliers. So
Yeah, you have the charged titanium, right?
Yeah.
We got this for it was weird. We had to order it from a different website other than Amazon because everyone wanted $99 for one of these, and just through internet search, it's like you can get this from like some knife place in Oregon, and it's $65, and then we're having $10 off, and then some kind of super shipping, and it wasn't supposed to be here by Christmas, so we ordered it, and it showed up Christmas Eve. I didn't know about it, Stacy, because I figured it'd be here like next week sometime from where we're at now, but no, it showed up, so it was pretty amazing.
But put some guns to some UPS people's heads and got here on time.
Yeah, it was UPS that delivered it, so somehow it made it.
I saw Reddit was flooded with pictures from UPS employees of like empty cargo containers and like, this is the best day of my life. It's finally over.
Well, didn't they deliver 35 million packages on Christmas Eve?
Probably.
I knew it was something mental like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
they effectively just like moved an army through America.
Oh yeah. That's the power of free enterprise. That's America at its finest right there. We buy all this crap, but we don't make any of it. But that's so what was your I got many things for Christmas. I got a bunch of clothes and stuff like that, but nobody cares about that. Some more Pink Floyd shirts, so you'll be seeing them on the show. What was your big get this year?
I just got money, but the one thing I did get is this. It's like a new type of Craftsman ratchet set.
The cat's interested in it.
Yeah. So there's the ratchet. So it looks sort of normal, but you notice that there's like kind of.
It's on a universal joint, like.
Yeah. Let's see how you do this.
Oh, that's cool.
That pops out, and then you can twist it up here, and then you can like ratchet things, like it'll twist it like that.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
So you don't have to do it from the side. You can do it like straight on for those bolts that like are like down and through stuff.
Yeah.
You can kind of get to them finally.
You kind of, instead of having to get a universal joint as a separate thing, they just built the universal joint right into the head.
Yeah, you don't have to get like a bunch of attachments or anything.
Yeah. I'm going to save money replacing this water bill by buying $900 worth of attachment.
Yeah, that's.
Tools are useful. I still have most of the ones I got.
You got to keep buying them because you keep losing all the fucking pieces.
Yeah, well, that happens. Sometimes I get broke.
That's why you get Snap-on, because then like you just hijack one of those trucks and get the pieces you need.
Yeah, Snap-on guys are really good about like exchanging stuff. They're real friendly about like, hey, I broke the crow's foot off of this. Oh, were you torquing on it? Did you have a pipe on it? Nope. I don't fucking believe you, but okay. What was it? What did we break? Oh, this was Craftsman, but I remember at vocational school, which is, I went to in high school, I went to the place where the doomed kids, like there was no AP college classes for me. I went to work on tractors and farm equipment because I thought it was fun, and because I couldn't get into the auto mechanics thing because it was packed, and so we worked on agriculture equipment, and we were trying to get the tires off a tractor. And have you ever seen a 1-inch breaker bar? You know what a breaker bar is, right?
Yeah, just a big tube that you put on.
Yeah, it's well, no, The breaker bar is just a bar. It has a head on it where you put sockets on, but it doesn't have the ratchet. It's just strictly
yeah.
for torque, and
Yeah.
it's about this fucking long. I mean, and it's a 1 inch tool. So you got, sockets, the small ones are that big, and it goes up to stuff like this is what you work on semis and stuff with.
Yeah.
Yeah, we managed to shear 2 of those off at the knuckle right there where it hooks onto the thing. And of course, we had a cheater pipe on it, of course, because we were trying to take tires off a tractor. But
Yeah.
what we did was, because they won't take them back if they see bar marks on them where you've been prying on them.
Yeah.
So I put a bunch of like cotton and what do they have? Cotton and leather from an old car seat in there. We were just like reefing on them, and we got 6 of the 12 nuts off. And then we took them into Sears, and the guy's like, "You had to have a pipe on these. There's no way you guys broke a 1-inch breaker bar." I said, "No, it didn't have a pipe on it, but I was jumping up and down on it. Does that count?" And it's like, "You fucking guys." So we turned in 2 of those bars and got new ones, and finally, because you couldn't even you couldn't get them off with impact wrenches. I mean, we just had to keep breaking bars till we got them off. So I think the tires were installed in the '60s and never came off. But because you don't want to heat those up, because half the time the assholes use ether to set the tires back on the rim, and you don't want to be holding a torch near that with a tire half full of ether. That always makes it for a fun time. I can fly. I don't even know if people do that shit anymore. I think they do, but I just knew it's like, why don't we get a torch on this? No. You don't want to put a torch on that. Why not? Because the tire's probably half full of ether. It's like, that's nuts. But that's tools. The old 1-inch breaker bar. Tear it down. So did you get anything else?
No, just money. That's
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, that's good.
I'll just buy what I want.
Yeah, that's usually what I do.
So I went ahead and gonna get one of those Alienware computers.
That's what you need.
Yeah.
The gaming universe.
Yeah. So I got one of those weird triangle ones.
When's it showing up?
I think mid-January.
Oh, how much was that?
A lot. But
Hold on, let me go to their website. And this will be like state of the art for like once it comes out of the box, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's not top of the line because that's like top of the line. You're getting near like $4,000.
That's fucking nuts.
But that's because it has like shit like it has like 2 video cards linked up inside of it, and both those video cards are like $600 a piece. So.
So you got the Area 51?
Yeah.
Okay, that is pretty badass.
I got the one that just has like it just has one, I think 98 9 like fuck is it 980X or something like that in it. Nvidia card.
Oh, okay. Just
So,
one, like 4.
no.
Like, you can play video games and mine for Bitcoin with this.
Well, I figure like if I wait long enough, the 980 will drop in price, and then if my computer gets behind in technical stuff, I'll just buy another one when it's cheap, and then hook it in there and link it up, and then I'll be like back in the game.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. I'm glad got what you needed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not paying it for it yet because I use my credit to buy it, and then I'll just like, have the money I have right now to basically make a down payment on it and keep paying it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do. I mean, shit's expensive.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're into motorcycles or guns, you'd be spending the same amount of money, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wanted to like do a build your own, but like it would probably be about that much. So,
yeah, that's getting to the point where it's redundant. There used to be a time when that was.
I would have spent the same amount, and then I'd
Right.
have to like buy Windows, and then I'd be down like $600. So.
And then you'd have to warranty it yourself because you are the end producer. There is no the motherboard fried. Well, you're fucked.
Yeah, that's when you build your own computer. There's always that possibility that you're going to spend 3 weeks mailing shit back and forth. It's like, well, this RAM's bad, or this motherboard's bad, and it's like, this fucking sucks. Why didn't this shit just work?
You are the factory. You are the little Chinese kid.
And I they opened it up, and like it was like all the wires were neat and tucked away and everything. So like I'll just get that. It's easier.
No fire hazard.
Yeah, and then the way it's shaped, it's like you can get to all those ports easily. So the desk won't be so cluttered. So. That'll be nice. And I'll have USB 3 ports on it, so I can actually like charge my phones and shit on it.
Oh, those are awesome.
So.
You'll love the hell out of that. Like I said, good call.
And it has a solid state drive on it, so that'll be nice
Sweet.
and speedy.
Zzz.
Nope, no moving parts. Just
on and just you have a disk drive.
What's that?
Well, it has a disk drive, right?
Yeah, that's where you're gonna throw all your like videos and music stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's got.
How big is the hard drive?
I think it's what is it? I think it's 128 gig solid state, and then it's a 2 terabyte hard drive, disk hard drive.
Okay. Well.
And I think there's 3 hard drive spots, so I can throw another one in there from the computer I'm using. Right
yeah, because there's always expansion, like you need that terabyte of external memory. It's there.
So.
Well, here are some words, and you might need these are some words that have no English equivalent. And if you regret your purchase, you might use this word, or you might engage in this activity, this German word, Kummerspeck. Excess weight gained from emotional overeating. Literally translates to grief bacon.
The grief bacon didn't work.
Yeah. It did add the weight, though.
I'll have to add more grief bacon.
And then, if you're tired of my smart mouth, there's, and I'm going to totally mangle this one, Backpfeifgescheit, which means a face badly in need of a fist. Now, these are words that have no English, like there's no direct translation.
Yeah. Other than like an entire sentence, but we don't have
Yeah, it's like, oh, this means this. For once, like English is the language that's using way too many words to express a simple thing. Or there's one more I wanted to read to you, because some of these I can't even get through, but. Oh, well. I like the grief bacon one. That was the best one. And the face badly in need of a... All the German ones were cool. I can't pronounce the Georgian one. It's like Simajin Jamo. You know you're really full, but your meal is just so delicious you can't stop eating it. The Georgians feel your pain. This word means I accidentally ate the whole thing. Which is kind of that's a problem I have. I can relate to that. And in the world of translation...
It's going to go bad. I need to eat this now.
Yeah, I need to eat this.
Enjoy it.
Can't let this go to waste, because that would be a sin. And the gods punish the wastrels. There's some interesting things they can translate now. These were some pamphlets the guy picked up in the French embassy, and they just ran it directly through a computer translator. So these are some some things that these are some things in French that the French find amazing, and they give this to their people when they come to this country. And the one we were talking about earlier, they don't steal your stuff. If you leave things unattended, like cell phones or boxes on your front porch, or even things in your car like electronics, chances are they will be there the next day when you return. To French people, this is amazing. The plumbing in America is, the French call it insulting. Because when you flush a toilet in America, be prepared for a cacophony of sound and noise unlike you've ever heard before. What's another thing? In America, they all go to the bathroom together. There's no walls or even doors on a lot of the stalls, and because I guess in France, like, the stalls go all the way to the ground, and they usually have doors on them, whereas here you rarely see that. Yeah. Sometimes they have doors on the stalls, but not always. So
it's not intentional. That's just through years of use and people kicking down doors for some reason.
Yeah. We started off with nice things, but people fucked it up because they're assholes.
We repaired it once and then we stopped caring.
You have to help people and look like you really mean it. And here's some examples. Like, if an old lady falls or somebody is in distress and looks like they need help, don't look to the left or right and see if anyone's looking. Go directly to that person and help them. Otherwise, you will be considered rude. Oh, and don't drink and drive in America. They really are serious about it here. It's like, that's exactly what it says, word for word. It's like, don't do that here. They're very serious about it.
It's a problem here, but we care less.
Yeah. We don't mind if our streets are littered with corpses.
Nobody has cars here.
Here's some Russian travel advice. I mean, these were classic. Don't worry about gifts. When meeting Americans or doing business with Americans, don't worry about bringing gifts. They don't expect it, and sometimes they consider it strange. And then there's all kinds of addendum down here. Be careful. In America, giving bribes is illegal. Like question mark, exclamation point. So don't give too extravagant a gift, as it may be misinterpreted as a bribe and could lead you to legal troubles. And they're talking about this like it's some strange custom that's like, what they don't take bribes there in America?
Honesty is a weird virtue in America.
Here's one from the Russian travelers on talking to American women. Don't talk to American women for too long, stare too openly, or stand too close, as they will think you are trying to harass them. For some reason in America, there are strong laws about this. Be very careful when talking to the women. And now they make it sound innocent, but I know exactly what they're fucking talking about because I've worked with enough Russians. They'll just sit there and leer at you and like undress you with their eyes if you're a woman. And if you say something like, "Hey, why don't you fuck off?" or something, they're like, "What? What's wrong? What'd I do?" And it's like, I know what you're doing, asshole. So
I'm appreciating.
yeah. What is another thing? Oh, this is another one on American optimism. Americans seem to be born smiling. They smile all the time, even until the day they die. This is genuine. Be careful. This is not an attempt at deception. These people are really this optimistic. Oh. And then, of course,
well,
like
I guess in the spots they would travel to America, that might be true.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're not
coming to the Midwest.
Yeah, come on through my part of the city. You won't see a lot of people smiling. As a matter of fact, what you'll see is a lot of your countrymen astonished at the quantities of alcohol that we are consuming. Yeah, there was only 4 of those. There was another. The Japanese one is classic. Someone said this was bullshit though. I don't know, but they said this was a pamphlet. I'm trying to find some. Oh, beware of rough areas where the clothes demand attention. And I guess this is based on like real flashy Nike jogging suits and stuff are considered fashionable in Japan, but they say in America, be careful if you see a lot of black men dressed in clothes like this, chances are you are in an area you don't want to be in. So be very careful, as flashy clothes or clothes that demand attention in America means something very different. Another thing is you'll be pleasantly surprised by American traffic patterns. In America, people generally follow the law and obey the speed limit. Be aware of this. When it says to stop and everyone has to wait for a red light, it doesn't mean you attempt to go if there's room. You stop until the red light turns green. And then there's here's another one.
That said, like driving in Japan was kind of weird because people would turn their cars off at like stop lights and.
Oh yeah, well yeah, gas is like $5 a liter or something. Yeah. So like, yeah, I've heard weird stories.
You know, like here you just like as soon as it turns green, like jump off the line, get the fuck out of there. But I guess there it's like turn the car back on and then proceed forward.
What was the other thing they said about driving in America? Basically, it's like don't get pushy. Don't try to angle ahead or anything. You know, everyone stays in line here. And they says, and you know, if you're outside of Los Angeles or whatever, it's like you can get places really fast. But they said be prepared to drive for a long time because it's a very long time to drive in America. Nobody is impressed about how much you can drink. As a matter of fact, it is considered shameful to drink too much in America. Again, I don't know where the fuck they're at. That is not a problem in any America I live in.
I mean, the shame only comes about if you cause harm.
Yeah, yeah. The shame comes about it. There's a revolting act of masturbation performed in front of neighbors.
If drinking results in legal implications, then yes, you've brought shame somewhere, but otherwise, you've brought entertainment to all.
They have free time all week long. In America, free time is not just for the weekends as it is in Japan, but they actually compartmentalize time to be alone and enjoy themselves during the week! Exclamation point. Please note Americans don't like to be bothered during this time and tend to not talk about or do work after working hours! Exclamation point. It's okay. Here's a weird one in the explanation. Knowing how to use sarcasm is a must to communicate with Americans. If you put a bent middle and index finger in front of both hands in the air, you are making finger quotation marks. It means you do not believe what you are saying. You must do this a lot with Americans, as many Americans do not believe what they say, but they say it anyway as a form of humor. Okay. I kind of know what I mean, I guess if you only communicate directly, I guess that would be a problem. They tend to horse laugh, even the women. It's how they show that they're honest. In America, loud sounds, loud talk, and the showing of teeth is not considered shameful. As a matter of fact, many Americans communicate this way, and it shows their honesty and openness to strangers. Like, okay. You won't be getting your groceries anytime soon, so checkout lanes are a great place to make friends. And this is just a long screed about how terribly slow checkout lanes are in America and how strangers actually talk to each other while waiting. So it's a good place to make friends and meet people. Their vending machines are ridiculously limited and dishonest. You cannot buy beer at a vending machine in America, and even things labeled fruit and juice are just carbonated soda. This is a lie, so be careful.
That is true. That is.
Yeah, that is very true.
If you saw a vending machine in Japan, you'd blow your fucking mind.
Oh yeah, well, they sell everything from girls' panties to beer to sake to all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Americans are weirdly optimistic and very violent at the same time, but it's hard to stay irritated at them, as they are genuinely friendly and open people. But beware, many Americans have had experiences vastly different from yours, especially the ones that live in large cities where violence is commonplace. Do not ask an American if they have ever seen a dead body or guns fired from moving vehicles. These are not considered polite topics. Where the fuck are they talking about? Well, maybe Chicago, Detroit, but I've actually fired a gun from a moving vehicle, but that was at a deer out of the back of a pickup. So, but I certainly would talk about that if they wanted to know.
It's like their view of us as like modern day Vikings. Like they're just gregariously violent.
It said weirdly optimistic and very violent. But I guess if your grandpa was in the end of a bayonet, you'd probably feel that way about the, I don't know. Yeah, the when you read about the island hopping campaigns, that alone, the fact that we even talk to Japanese people and have any relationships with them at all to this day, it's like, that's amazing, because there was some real fucking hate there.
Yeah.
That was like, flamethrowers aren't just a way to clear out an alley or a pillbox. We're going to mount it in a tank. And we're going to use them so much that we have nightmares about the weird humming sounds that fire makes in caves while bodies burn. Do you ever see that? Have you seen the HBO show The Pacific?
Yeah.
Have you ever read the book that it was based on?
No.
There was a story in there. I forget where this was. It was some Marine detachment. And I've heard this from other people. The guy, he was an older guy, and he was talking about, he goes, the glass pop bottles, you don't see those much anymore, but you know how you whistle, you can blow into the top of them and it makes that whoo sound? He goes, I almost tore my kid's head off when I came back home and he did that, because we heard that sound for 5 days, only it was coming out of the cave where about 1,000 Japanese were burning alive, because we just thrown they flamethrowed it, and then they just let's take our diesel fuel and kick those cans in there and light that on fire too, because we don't know how big this cave structure is. And they said for days they were trying to sleep, and all they'd hear is ooh, crackle, 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 ooh, and you knew people were burning alive. It's like, wow, that's just straight out of hell. But anyway. Yep, that's the Japanese. It's weirdly optimistically violent. I'm gonna have to remember that. It's like next time because they're all over at work. It's like you can ask me if I've ever seen a gun fired out of a moving vehicle. It's okay. We can talk about it if you want to. Anyway, on to Russia. Which is a country I'll talk about a lot because I'm always optimistic that Cold War is going to start again and there'll be lots of cool new material to write about and read about. But anyway, I don't know if you've heard, but Putin canceled Christmas.
Oh.
He's canceled the New Year's holiday. I don't know about Christmas, but
He went to the South Pole and he slit Santa's throat.
yeah, pretty much. And then rode the comet back home and with no shirt on and a big rifle. But because of the Russian economic
I squeeze
crisis,
my toes and I don't die from lack of whatever. I don't need a pressurization suit to survive space.
just pure hate that keeps explosive decompression from killing me. But in view of the Russian economic crisis, he has canceled the New Year's extended holidays for all government workers, which extended into February. That's a fucking hell of a vacation. It's like, well, the week before Christmas, well, see you in February. I mean, I'm actually getting that much time off, but a lot of it's a layoff. So, but
the Japanese should now understand why we take our free time in the middle of the week so seriously.
Yeah, because
we don't get it any other time.
Yeah.
We don't get those random 3-month vacations, state-sponsored 3-month vacations.
Yeah, I love those European. Which country? Which is it? Sweden or what's the real crazy one? Is it Norway? Where is it just like ball busters? Like basically, it sounds like you work 7 months out of the year, and the rest of it's like government mandated vacation time. It's like I don't know which country it is, but yeah, sometimes.
I imagine Sweden would kind of be like that because they seem to like the quality of their work and the amount they do seems to be out of sorts with like the actual resources
spent.
they have.
Yeah.
So they probably have to make up with that with just freaking ridiculous work weeks, and then they work hard, play hard.
Yeah. And fuck hard too.
But I don't know. Everyone there seems happy, and they're all blondes, and they all look like supermodels, and they work at gas. It's like you go to a gas station, like, is there a photo shoot in here? It's like, no, I just work at the gas station.
Yeah, where's the porn shoot? What's going on? They did a TV show on NBC. It was like the guy was dating a Swedish girl. It was called Welcome to Sweden or something. And and he meets her family, and they're kind of sort of standoffish and judgmental because he's an American, and of course he doesn't know anything about Sweden or Swedish culture or anything. But they're like alcoholic potheads. It's like, well, why are you people so judgmental? Like, what do you have on me? And he's trying to be hip and cool, and these guys are like real serious about their drinking and their weed and their food, and like, what's going on? But I only watched a few episodes. It wasn't really that good. And then they got that other, what's that weird one with the guy from The Sopranos, Lilyhammer?
Yeah.
Like, that's a strange show.
Yeah. I'm not sure if is that Sweden?
No, that's another country. It's one of those places, though. Like I said, one of the what I call the nice hobbit villages of socialism. It's like where everyone wants to live until they see what the base tax rate is, and then they run away. It's like, how much? Fuck you. I'd rather be miserable. But anyway, because the ruble has lost 50% of its value in a few weeks, Russia has decided they're going to get serious, and their financial ministers are going to pull in all the stops and do what they can. But this is only they have a serious economic crisis every 6 years now. But this one is hamstrung by the fact that they've spent $200 billion in their cash reserves just to shore up the ruble to no effect, no effect at all. And the fact that the price of oil and gas in general has dropped, it's like a three-phase clusterfuck. So
yeah. All we do is energy.
And of course, the if you read the American translated Russian press, it is a dark conspiracy. It's Obama, and it's Europe, and it's all this stuff, and it's like it has to do with their with we hate their invasion of the Ukraine and them flexing their muscles and all this nonsense. But really, it's because their economy's based on bribery and deceit. And see, that's the problem with the Russian economy, and it's always been the problem with the Russians, whether they were whether it was under the czars, whether they were communists, whatever. Bribery is still like an external, separate thing there. They haven't like written it into their laws like we have. Like here we have bribery. It goes on right out in the open. It's called super PACs. It's called Citizens United. It's called lobbying. That's fucking bribery. But the thing is, it operates in a framework. So there's kind of a limit to how much bribery there can be. It's not like, oh yeah, you can sell defective medicine to Turkish children and make millions. Like, no, we don't allow that. I mean, we would if we could get away with it, but you can't. So that's the thing is like the Russians, they need to write that bribery into their law instead of sackfuls of money between the oligarchs and the mafia, because this is why their economy collapses, because they don't have a framework of greed to operate in like we do. So that's my Christmas message to Putin. It's like, get your Supreme Court or your Duma or whatever the fuck you call it, get those guys together and just celebrate it as a part of your history and culture like we do in America.
Get your greed in fucking order, Russia.
That's right. It's not about helping people. It's not about doing the right thing. It's about celebrating free enterprise and all the good that it brings to your civilization. Otherwise, you're just going to have these currency problems. And nobody wants an upset Russia, because once Russia gets fucked up and then ISIS is looking for the next ICBM to buy, because all that, once the yard sale signs go back out in Russia, it's like, oh shit, here goes New York City. What do you mean? We can't sell SS-18 to ISIS? It's like, yeah, you can't. Why? Where is John Galt? We have no freedom. You're stifling our free enterprise.
The graves are full of indispensable men.
Oh, God. But anyway, so no Christmas in Russia. However, there is Christmas here, as I got a gift from my wife. As anyone can see, this is a magnum of Grey Goose, which was a really thoughtful gift. And just what my liver needed, but it came with some really snazzy glasses. And one of the things and also a mix. I guess you're supposed to mix drinks in this. I used to drink my vodka straight, so I'll try it. I mean, it's something called a martini. I don't know what that is, but Grey Goose is so fucking good. You can just glug it like right out of the bottle, and it's like not drinking. But what was I gonna say? Oh, totally lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, one of the things you bought me through Amazon is I'm gonna make those. Have you ever seen the round balls of ice?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they're called whiskey balls. They came out of Japan. They're round, and they were seen in Star Trek. It's just a round because for some reason a spherical ice cube melts way slower than a square one, and it doesn't dilute your drink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some of those and just, you can freeze lemon and shit inside of it. So maybe I'll try one of these mixed drinks that they talk about. But this madness, to me, it's just trying to get the liquor into my body before the depression overwhelms me. So I don't really mix a lot. But, yeah, what can you say about that? Anyway, what else were we going to talk about?
There's TV shows. There's The Interview.
Yeah, I was going to talk. You know what? I'm going to kick the can on the one topic. Let's go into The Interview. Tell me about this.
Oh, just the news, or just like a review of the movie?
Well, I'm sure everyone who's like not been under a rock knows what happened with The Interview, and the fact that North Korea may or may not have attacked. And I don't believe now they're saying they did. Not the North Koreans, but everyone else.
They first said they didn't, but then they want apparently this is getting a lot of press, so let's say we did, so we look like we're expounding
powerful.
Power. Yeah. But it's either just some Russians fucking off, or it's probably some Chinese, because the Chinese actually have as part of their their military structure is like trained hackers.
Yes,
So
we
that's
have that too. It's
I've
called the
never.
National Security Agency.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they have military ranks in the National Security Agency. They're not a military organization, but they
Yeah.
do, like the KGB or the GRU or the NKVD or whatever. What is it now? FSB. They all there's like, oh, this guy's a colonel. This guy's a. Now it looks informal, and everyone calls themselves by their first calls each other by their first names. However, if you fuck up, that the military standards they suddenly appear.
Yeah.
Um, there is no Article 15, but yeah, you can disappear into a hole. So they think it's the Chinese now, or part of that.
It's either just, but that's where like most of the hacking occurs is in that area. It's either China or Russia.
Yeah, I was trying to explain to my son, like, because he was asking me, he's like, "How are the North Koreans a threat to us?" I said, "Well, they're not really. I mean, they have a weird government. I said they're one of the last countries in the world that has they have like what you call that, like a communist cult of personality. It's like there's communist countries, but like their dear leaders, like that's straight back to Stalin. Like that's really weird, and it's a strange country, and they do horrible things. Their preferred method of political execution is flamethrower. Well, that should tell you kind of where they're at psychologically. But I was trying to explain to him, and he goes, "What about the South Koreans? Why don't they fight them?" And I was like, "Well, the South Koreans, that was a really nasty war." And I said, you can talk to my brother about the Korean War, because that's how the Marines continued their existence, was their performance in the Korean War. And
Yeah.
then he went and looked it up on the internet, and he's like, "Why do we have so many Marines and stuff in Korea?" I said, "Well, in that war, the Department of Defense did not have the 500,000 to 1 kill ratios that the Pentagon likes to operate under. When people fight us, we usually like to kill 500,000 of them to every one of our soldiers. So they still feel like there's some unfinished business there that they might later need to take care of." Which I don't know if that helped him or confused him more, but sometimes the answers I offer, if he took that seriously, he would be like, "They're just waiting to kill more Koreans," and I don't want him to think that, even though it's probably true. But yeah, I was trying to explain to him. I was like, "No, they're not like Russia. They don't have like hundreds of nuclear bombs that could hit our cities." Or I said, "They're just crazy people," and they do have a nuclear bomb, or a couple. Yeah, I don't know how well they work, and maybe they could. I said they're more of a threat to like Japan. Like they could hit Japan with one of their big clusterfuck bombs, but don't think that the Japanese are going to sit idly while that goes on. So the Japanese have a spirit of hate that goes back thousands and thousands of years. So
Release the drone swarm. It's not ready yet. Release it.
yeah, something horrible would happen. Something clever and horrible, or as I like to call it, those people might say it's racist. Something slitty-eyed would happen.
Oddly, the North Koreans are all dying, and the South Koreans aren't. It seems to only aim at the very specific people, and there's a minor cold going around. Like,
this couldn't be our friends in Japan. And it's like I told Grayson, I said, you got to remember too, the Japanese have a police force that uses Apache helicopters and F-16s, but it's called a police force. So I don't think that the Japanese aren't idiots. So I don't know what's. Of course, they are becoming a nation of immigrants now, weirdly enough, because they need people to fix toilets and do all that stuff. Because nobody does that in Japan. Nobody knows how to work on their cars. They make some of the best cars in the world, but nobody knows how to fix them.
Who's the Cubans / Mexicans of Japan?
It's the Portuguese.
Yeah.
There's like a pipeline between Portugal and Japan. I don't know why. Maybe they're just comfortable with them. There's some American fabricators and stuff who, like, they did a lot of their groundwork in Japan, like classic cars and stuff. They love that shit over there. And if you can fabricate stuff, they're all in. Because some of those guys you see on TV, they did a lot of work in Japan.
Yeah.
Because they'll like, they want to clone a '57 Chevy down to the most minute detail, and you can really learn some shit from some of those guys. Because the metal fabrications are really something they do very well in Japan. They're really clever about Like a lot of the techniques that we use over here were actually developed there.
Yeah.
Because the Japanese are, when the Japanese do things, there's two things that go on. There's a lot of efficiency and just a good use of materials that goes on there when they really apply themselves to it. The Japanese and the Germans, if they tried to make a fighter plane, they would probably make a fighter plane that performed equally as well, but the German one would be horribly complicated and overthought. Japanese one might be the same, but it would also be easy to repair, or there'd be some like hook in there. It's like, yeah, this is a terrible plane for some things, but it's really good for another. There's some interesting thinking there.
No,
And then, of course, they steal all the best ideas and say that they're their own, so that helps too.
Think about it like North Korea. And one of the giant bomb guys, he actually took a vacation to North Korea.
Yeah, those weird tours you can book through China.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he think?
He thought, he's fascinated by it. That was weird. It was, he thought it was just really funny how they like have to like pretend that things are normal there.
Yeah.
It's like orange soda, and it's like that's their version of orange juice. And just like all the different like weird and like they have like a whole museum that's devoted to like the North Korean space program and how they've been to the moon.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I like the stuff about the magic cabin that the first Dear Leader was in, and there's like he wrote a rainbow to the sky, or it's just like totally fucked up shit. It's the same stuff they want to do with Reagan in this country. Like they want to make Ronald Reagan into some kind of like superhero here, so we have our own version of it. But
I know they have like the largest glass factory in like the world. I don't really know what the fuck they do, but just make glass, I guess.
Well, like all those communist command economies, I'm sure it's very efficient and needed. Because 250,000 people a year starve to death there, don't they?
Yeah, that's why the food's all weird there, because they don't
Yeah.
have a lot. Well, I mean, they also have like a weird thing where like in the war, like a lot of their cattle was just obliterated by artillery.
Yeah.
And so like there's like a weird culture of like building tractors there. Like all of the tractors there are basically handmade by each farmer.
Nice. Now that's kind of sweet. Can imagine some cool shit coming out of that.
Yeah, and that's what one of the things he thought was like really interesting was that, because that was like the only one of the few high points that like they pointed it out, and he's like, that's really interesting. Like I didn't want to think about that, just because like they didn't have cattle to pull plows anymore, so they
Yeah.
had tractors.
To make your own tractor.
Yeah.
I like the hotel, the weird pyramidal hotel.
Yeah.
That they say was like started in the 80s and is really not complete.
Yeah, no, it's not complete, but
it's a shell.
Yeah, but it looks weird and ominous and kind of cool. It's like this is where The Shining 2 takes place.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. I'm gonna stay here. And then they weirdly embrace like elements of Western culture, but in a very strange way.
No, that's South Korea.
No, I thought that was the North Koreans, because like when Dennis Rodman shows up, like the whole country, because they love, I guess they love basketball there.
Oh, yeah, that could be something. Yeah, basketball. Yeah. Because I just know from watching South Korean films that like they're weirdly American, like.
Well, the Koreans are called the Irish of the Orient because they actually express emotions, and they're pretty violent. You don't want to piss a Korean off because they'll grab a hold of you.
But what's it? The one thing you took away, they cut this thing is called gasoline clams or something like that, where you just bake clams with gasoline.
Perfect.
And he said that was awesome. So when he came back from Korea, he tried that himself, and he said it was pretty cool.
Do you submerge them in gasoline, or
I think you just pour it on them, light them, and they cook eventually. But
yeah, I guess that as long as it was sealed. But fuck me, that would.
I think you just have to wait till like all the gasoline kind of cooks away, and then.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know the process, but yeah, like he saw it. I think he tried to emulate it, but then. And then they have like the weird computers in their hotel room. And like phones on the wall that are just there for show, like they don't actually do anything, they're not connected to anything.
Yeah, they just look cool.
It's like, look, high tech.
Well, I know the show. Like I watched a show about how when the North Korean, there's a lot of North Koreans defect to South Korea. And there's a lot of like Christian churches in South Korea that take care of these people, and they're just lost. Like they talk to them, they don't know what money is. Like people hand them money, it's like, here, you use this to buy stuff, and they're like, what? How do you know how much to buy? The amount of money you have determines how much of any one item you can get. I mean, you can get as much as you want as long as you have enough of this paper. Yeah, that's how money works. Oh my God, they're just like, I mean, they end up being violently depressed and and they become alcoholics
Yeah.
because they can't deal with a system where it's like, what am I to do today? I don't know. Watch TV, chill out, get something to eat, play some video games. No, I can't have this many choices.
Life is meaningless.
Yeah, where no one's to tell me what to do. It's like, yeah, nobody tells you what to do. You got to figure this out. They say the like they don't call it the Western world, but like the democratic world or what. It's like it's very lonely. I heard that theme 3 or 4 people they interviewed. It's like it's very lonely. You don't have any purpose to your life, and you're just like left on your own to like determine things. It's like, that's called
You have to
freedom.
have self-motivation.
Yeah, you can't just sit around and think somebody else is going to take care of it for you.
I need a cult of personality.
Yeah, I need a weird like cloud man with unicorns around him to tell me what to do, and like the one lady was like, "You mean I don't have to have 5 children? No, you don't have to have 5 children. Why the fuck would you want 5 children? Well, it's the government," and it's like, well, we don't do that here. But yeah, that's kind of terrible.
So yeah, the interview. The plot of it basically is like it's like a guy who does like ET interviews, uh, and his producer, which is with his Seth Rogen, like they land the interview with Kim Jong Un, and then like Seth Rogen's character like wants to do more important work, and then James Franco's character basically just doesn't want to look like he's dumb.
Yeah.
So that's kind of their motivation to do this. And then meanwhile, the CIA wants them to assassinate Kim Jong Un.
Yeah, because that would make everything go right in the world.
Yeah. And then like so they brought there because like I guess Kim Jong Un in this is a big fan of Skylark, which that's James Franco's character.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's a funny movie.
I've talked to a lot of people that have seen it. No one recommended it to me. But they said it's like this is a lot like that South Park movie they did with the puppets.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of weirdly insulting like that, but it wasn't like over the top. Because they said it actually made the guy look like kind of a badass, and like the country just a real scary, like, oh, you don't want to fuck with these people, instead of a bunch of starving peasants.
Well, no, I mean a lot of that's like when they get there and they're shown things that are clearly a facade, like kind of how
how it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you're taken there on a tour that's sponsored by the Chinese government, like you can only go places that they can they have spiffied up for you so they can pretend that everything's grand here.
Yeah.
So they do that for real. But yeah, it's just it's a bunch of dick and fart jokes on a much grander scale than usual.
Is there anything like laugh out loud funny, like, oh fuck, I didn't see that coming, I can't believe they did that, or?
No, I think some of the action scenes are pretty well done for a comedy.
Yeah.
Some of the CGI is actually pretty well done. The opening scene's pretty funny, which you wouldn't really expect, which is basically they're doing an interview. They're doing this where you see like it's kind of like a splash of like news going on, and everyone's talking about Kim Jong Un, and then they cut to the Skylark show, and he's just interviewing Eminem.
Yeah.
And then Eminem says he's gay, and they're like, did Eminem just say he's fucking gay? It's like, you mean to follow up on that right now? And then that's like the whole thing. It's like, yay, we found out Eminem is gay.
Is it really Eminem?
Yeah.
Oh, he really did that. Okay, wow. Because he's not a guy known for his sense of humor, so
Yeah.
okay. That's hilarious.
So yeah, and then they come up with a funny term, which is honey dicking.
Honey dicking?
Yeah, honey pot, like they get like a sexy lady to do spy shit.
Yeah, the Russians had that,
So this is the other way around. So it's like So they're constantly talking about how somebody got honey dicked or whatever.
What's the difference? Is that like a guy?
That's what a guy does.
The Russians called them ravens, but okay, that's funny.
Because like when he gets there, Kim Jong Un is like takes Skylark out on like the day, and it's basically just nothing like they're playing basketball, like the basketball hoops lowered so they can dunk and shit, and then like they're drinking and, like the hottest woman in the world, just sitting there having sex with them, and they're doing drugs and stuff like in a tank.
This is awesome.
And then Seth Rogen's like, it's like no, this guy's lying to you. He's honey dicking you.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not a movie you watch and like, it's not the movie that lets freedom ring or anything like that. Like it's kind of, I think this movie might be building up a bit too much of an expectation due to the consequences of its release and attack or whatever. But,
yeah, it seems like that kind of. This isn't Citizen Kane. We're not going to change the world with this.
No, but yeah. But
Well,
I think it's, if you like those guys' comedy, it's just another one of those comedies.
okay.
So like a bit more grander scale. This time they got them. Last time they got money to, have the end of the world happen and then spend like an hour in a house.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the same thing. Like a lot of it's like, just in-room interviews and stuff like that, and then they kind of have these grand scale things.
Yeah.
Where they have the outside stuff and some CGI stuff, with rockets being fired off and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll check it out.
Get in a tank and have a fight with a helicopter. It's like, this is pretty well done for a comedy.
Is that Rambo 3 style?
Sort of.
Yeah.
But it's actually like pretty. Like one of the things that got leaked out from the Sony hack is that I think this movie cost $44 million. Like the budget got leaked on it. It's like,
oh, really?
Like this looks pretty well done for $44 million. So, but that's what they say. Like that's what Seth Rogen said with This Is the End. Is basically is like if you're willing to take under $50 million, they'll let you do whatever you want.
Yeah. That's when you get like 100 million plus where they want to. It's like, what are you guys doing?
And they also said that like they released like what Seth Rogen made and stuff like that, and I think him and James Franco made something like $3 million a piece, which actually seems kind of low.
Yeah, for the draw that's there, yeah, it does.
Yeah. But they're also they're producing it and like Seth Rogen's co-directing it, so that.
Well, they're wearing a lot of hats then, yeah.
So they're gonna get some points on that shit. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're definitely like they're punching above their weight if that's the actual budget.
Now, what is their reaction to all this?
I remember when it first happened, Sony was like, because like one of the things that came out was like, if they release these movies in the theaters, they're gonna be like, it's gonna be 9/11 times 10 to every movie theater that shows it. Like that's what they got from the hackers or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
So they pulled it from Christmas, and then they got on Twitter and like they're like Seth Rogen said like Sony's done nothing but do exactly what the hackers have told them to do, and so they're really disappointed with it. And then John McCain and who's the Mormon guy in the last Romney came out and were like saying like you should release it or give it free to everybody on the internet. Do something like don't let them tell you it's like this is a fighting point for American freedom and shit like that. And Obama's even said like you need to release this like. So it became this weird freedom cry unnecessarily, and so then there were some theaters that actually showed it on Christmas.
Yeah.
A lot of independent theaters. I think like all the AMC theaters, we're not showing it. We don't want anything to happen.
Well, it's like the one guy did explain. One of the theater owners of the corporate theaters said, yeah, if people breach our like paying systems and stuff, we're going to be out millions of dollars that we'll never recoup from Sony or anyone else. So I could sort of understand their point, but yeah, I don't know. Then of course somebody shut down North Korea for 9 hours. Shut down their internet.
Apparently, the internet was getting shut down all over the place. I think also the PlayStation Network is like shut down right now.
Yeah, we had to deal with that with Grayson. I had to explain that to Grayson on
Xbox
Christmas.
Live got shut down too for a
And
little
he was
bit.
really mad about that. And I was like, look, if I knew who these people were, I'd go chop their hands off, but I don't. So, I mean, like you can find one for me to reach out and touch, we can go do that together, father and son. I got some of those, those pinking shears that you use on in your garden, and we can cut a few fingers off. But if I don't have that information, there's nothing I can do. I'm not a computer programmer. The only thing you can do with those people is show that there's real world consequences to their digital crimes.
Yeah.
And not being able to type as fast will be a constant reminder of that fact. But yeah, what can you do with that? So did you go? Who did you? How did you see the movie?
I just bought it online.
Okay.
Through Google Play.
Oh, okay.
I didn't rent it. I just bought it. I was like, fuck it. I would have spent the money for the ticket. It would be about the same price. I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
So.
Me and Grayson saw The Hobbit on Christmas Eve.
The 5 armies? Is that
Yeah.
how many armies there are?
The Battle of 5 Armies.
Okay. How was
Clouds
that?
Gather. Yeah, it was okay. I mean, you're never going to get a ringing endorsement out of me for any of those Hobbit movies. Especially this one. This one was like, wow, really? This is what we're doing?
I really like that first one because I didn't really necessarily like any of the Lord of the Rings movies, but I guess I was just more impressed that 3D worked and the whole 60 frames per second thing. I thought made the 3D really smooth.
Yeah.
And then I thought the story was just kind of simple and easy to understand, but then I didn't have any interest to see in the other two.
And the problem with those, because I was someone who's really, when I was a teenager, was really into that, and I know all those books front and back, and they just stretched it out too far with The Hobbit. They could have made two movies and told everything they needed to tell. They could have stuck a lot closer to the source material than they could in Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings was just too big.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make epic movies, the Lord of the Rings trilogy was just a treasure trove of ideas. It's like there's 5 battles in each book that are awesome. Pick 2, build a movie around it. Have the stories and the characters in there, and it's going to be great. And he did a good job with that in the first 3 movies. Some people don't agree with that, but I think it was a pretty good job. But this Hobbit
I thought it was well done. I just don't really care for like a lot of the characters or what's going on.
Yeah, well, see,
But
Lord
it's
of the
really neat
Rings.
to look at, and there's some interesting ideas there.
See, Lord of the Rings was a lot more political, and it was a lot more. It was written a lot more like Beowulf. Like it's like heroic characters going to do heroic things. Where the Hobbit was a little more relatable. It's a little close. The story was a tighter focus, and they just made it too goddamn big. And they just took too much license, and this whole extra side story with Gandalf and the Necromancer's fortress, like that was mentioned in The Hobbit in a paragraph. You didn't need to make that into a whole thing. And Radagast never appeared, and he was talking to Radagast in the book, but he just mentioned it because the main thrust of the Hobbit book was the dwarves and the Hobbit and the quest for Erebor, and that was it. And then they just assigned, they just made everything way too complicated. And I really can't say like the acting wasn't bad. The guys who played the main characters did a good job. I mean, everything was good. The quality was there, but I just didn't walk out of this movie like I'm gonna buy this as soon as no, I just didn't. And I've never felt that way with any of the Hobbit movies. Now, Lord of the Rings movies, I did, but maybe I was younger and I don't know. But I'm not wowed. I mean, they got their money out of me 3 times, so.
Shadows of Mordor. I don't even know if there's.
Well, Grayson went out and got it.
That's really good. I don't know. It's kind of it's a separate story. It's their own thing, but it kind of deals with a lot of on the edges of a lot of stuff from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But it's basically its own thing. I mean, the one of the main people, I guess, is like some elven king. He's like the dead guy that you're attached to.
Okay.
and I guess he's like big in the he's like made the rings or whatever,
Okay.
um, or he forged the rings. Or something.
Yeah.
He had some hammer, and they killed his family or something.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I was watching somebody talk about that, and Brad from Giant Bomb, he started going to because he's kind of a scholar in that whole stuff, so he starts talking about stuff from the Silmarillion and like how like Sauron was like he's like Sauron's not the most evil person in this universe. He's just the most recent evil person in this universe.
Yes, there's a long litany of evil.
He's like talking
Sauron
about
is not Satan.
he's talking about like the Silmarillion and how like there's all these like really evil gods, and then at some point they just fucked off and got bored with the Middle Earth.
Yeah. Well, that's what the wizards. They were the servants of the gods. They were called the Istari. There were 12 of them, and the only ones you ever heard about were Gandalf, Saruman, and of course now Radagast, who was not a character but became a character because of the Hobbit movie. But yeah, they were like supposed to be the caretakers. It's like, you watch this, we're gonna go do god things, whatever. So that was kind of the history of because they're called the Istari, I think, were the 12 wizards. But you only heard about 3 of them
And then he was
because they lost their way too and got bored, except for Gandalf.
and then the one guy was talking about a damn one and I was like, so what's the Eye of Sauron and like what's the deal with that? And then why does he eventually become a dude? And he's like, well, in the book, the Eye of Sauron is just like an idea. It's not a physical thing. But for the movie, they just made it a physical thing because they got sort of the idea across.
Yeah, it was an effective. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I mean, the Eye of Sauron.
Yeah, because like in the book that was just kind of mentioned as like it's kind of like a constantly mentioned as kind of like evil sneaking around in the background or whatever. Where here it's like a physical manifestation.
Yeah, because in the books it was like whenever Frodo used the ring, it was like, yeah, the eyes of the Dark One will be on you, and it was always a kind of a metaphor. But here it was like, oh, it was an actual huge eye in a tower, and it was cool because it was all shaky, and whenever you did something, it'd be like it would turn and like, yeah. So that was what do you call that? Alliteration?
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's kind of you put words with the same letter at the beginning, but I don't know, that might work too. I don't know.
Yeah, it could. Whatever. I'm just an illiterate
It's probably different.
Midwesterner. So what would you see? What do you want to talk about next? Do you want to talk about the 100?
Sure.
Okay, so tell me about this.
So I watched the 100.
Okay.
Season 1 and half of season 2 because it's on break right now.
Okay. What channel is this on?
It's on CW, so you probably have never seen it.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't.
You've probably never even turned the channel there.
No.
Because why would you?
Nope.
It's kind of this is kind of a show about shitty teenagers for shitty teenagers.
Oh, is this sort of like the Hunger Games but in a post-nuclear environment?
Almost. So see, the thing is, so yeah, this is everyone lives in a space station, which is just a cobbled together of every space program after a nuclear war on Earth and became uninhabitable. So everyone lives in the space station, and they've been up there for like almost 100 years or something like that, and the space station can no longer support life. So they
Must be a big fucking space station.
Yeah, it's a bunch of them linked together.
Oh, okay.
And so they have to like figure out so what they do. So in this universe, once you turn 18, you're an adult, and if you commit any crime whatsoever, you're just immediately ejected into space.
Nice.
So they call it getting floated. So that's their F word. So it's like, go float yourself.
Ah. Frack, float, whatever.
Yeah. And so they need to figure out like, so they're at a point where they can no longer recycle the carbon dioxide, so they're going to start running out of air. So they need either kill off a third of the population, or they need to figure out if they can get to Earth. So they take 100 criminals, so it's a bunch of teenagers because they're not yet 18, so they can't just kill them. They take 100 of them, they put them on a drop ship, they see them to Earth to see if they'll live.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, there's no communication between the only communication they have is they have like these wristbands that have like vital signs, but there's no like they can't actually talk to them, so they don't. So like they get to Earth and like all the kids are they're all criminals, so they start taking off their wristbands because one guy's like, we don't want them to come after us, like we can do whatever we want down here, so they start taking the wristbands off, trying to basically make it look like everybody's dying down there, so then they won't come after them.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's kind of a weird conceit, but uh, and so then after this, it's just them trying to live on Earth, and there's like weird mutations going on down there. But basically, Earth is survivable.
Oh, okay.
There's some mutated deer going on, but that's not too much of a problem. There's some luminescent butterflies. There's everything's foresty and green, so the nature has taken back the Earth. Um, you see a bit of ruins of before, but you don't see too much. At some point there you see like um, the remains of the Lincoln statue.
Oh, okay.
They have that, um, which is basically it's the Lincoln's preserved, but like the surrounding buildings not.
Huh.
um, and then all the people are kind of the people that survived the nuclear war. They're kind of like primitive. Um,
Also, there are people down there.
yeah, there's people down there. Um, and there's different kinds of people that like that. In the second season, they introduce the Vault people, so it becomes kind of Fallout-y.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then it gets very dire. Like there's some fucked up shit happen. Like a lot of people die in that in really fucked up ways. And so it's pretty good that way where it keeps coming up with like really surprise elements where it's like
Kind of Game of Thrones-ish, where it's like, oh, these main characters, yeah, they're all dead.
not too much, but almost.
Yeah.
There's still characters that they will not kill, but there's some characters like you thought like, oh, that guy's gonna survive forever. It's like third episode dead. Also he's like one of the better characters, or
Yeah.
he's the more like righteous characters. So of course he has to die,
Yeah.
and he dies in the most random way. Like you never see it coming, and the reason why is like fucked up, but also like almost understandable why he dies. And who kills him is like you wouldn't see him coming. So it's pretty interesting. They give all the leadership roles to women, so I think they're making up for all that. Like there's no strong women in television, so they just get every leadership character. It's a woman
Yeah, that makes sense.
because they have the main character is Clark, um, and she's really she like you see her first, she's like drawing stuff in her prison cell, then like they bring her out of her prison cell, they knock her out, and then she wakes up on the drop ship, and you don't know why the hell she's there, what the hell's going on, and then you figure it later on like her dad was going to warn everybody on the space station about like what's happening, but they wanted to keep it quiet, so they kept her quiet because after they killed her dad by floating him, so they so she's really bitter about that, and then she's really smart, and like her mom's a doctor, so she's like the only person that knows like first aid down there.
Huh.
um but there's like the main like criminal guy, like he's supposed to be the badass and everyone's kind of following him, but like when it comes down to it, he's like kind of like soft hearted and everything, so there's a lot of moments where like she has to like do mercy killing and stuff like that, where like she's like singing to a guy after he gets caught in like a acid fog, and so he basically just like full of boils and lesions, and he's dying, and so she like sings to him and just like slits his carotid artery and then like waits for him to bleed to death. It's
Oh,
like
sounds like a pretty brutal society overall.
well, I mean they're just surviving down there, like, and plus it's very Lord of the Flies down there because it's all a bunch of shitty teenagers.
Yeah, of course.
And one of the shittiest teenagers is John Murphy.
Oh.
You've seen the actor before. He plays a bunch of shitty teenagers in basically every show.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
um, and like he constantly does fucked up things, and like at some point he's like murdering people because they tried to hang him once because they thought he killed somebody,
Yeah.
and then he starts killing and then like at some point they let him back because he like gets tortured by one of the tribes people, and he kind of gets like let back in because they felt sorry for him, and then he starts quietly killing all the people that.
He always makes the rational choices, like this is what I'm going to do.
But there's like so many times, but he's like one of those evil characters that he's constantly getting pardoned.
Yeah.
Because because like something happens and like, well, I guess we'll have to like leave him alone because he like helped us out here or whatever. But there's like one
Brought
part
us water when we were thirsty, so we'll exclude the murder or excuse the murder and rape.
well, there's one point there was like a girl, she got shot and then she's like paralyzed, and like they just killed this a tribe attack. Like they all huddle up in the drop ship, and there's still like fuel and like the retro rockets, and so like they like fight this tribe, and then like they all huddle back into the ship, and then like as they're surrounding the ship trying to get in, they turn on the retro rockets and kill everybody. They kill like 300 people.
Nice.
And then immediately after that, like they get captured by the Vault people, except for John and this one girl. He like walks in the spaceship, and she's like, she's like, it's like, why are you here? And he's like, well, I didn't want to die alone. And they're just sitting there giving like, talking very sarcastically and cryptically about shit.
Wow. So where'd you hear about this show?
I just saw it on Netflix, but I remember seeing previews for it. I thought that sounded interesting, but it'll probably be stupid. And then they had it on Netflix, and it's like, well, I'll just watch it all the way through, like, because like a lot of those shows, like, there's a lot of stupid in it because they do write themselves in a lot of corners, and they don't necessarily get out of it up very well. But when you can watch a show back to back, it smooths out all those bumps.
Yeah, when you can binge watch, it's like, oh, that makes sense. I don't have a week to think about, well, why would they do this stupid thing? It's like, oh, okay, I see.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm
I withhold my wrath.
Yeah, there's always, and it's like, I don't know, there's always constant things where it's like, that's it's like when did somebody think of this already? Like there's one thing where they had a drop ship, and like there's like some political strife, and these people steal the drop ship, and then like the drop ship comes to Earth, and they fuck something up, and like it just buries in the ground, kills everybody on board. And like, well, I guess everyone in the space station's fucked because I was like their one drop ship or whatever. And then at some point, like the head guy has like a is like watching like a video of his son, and then like he's talking about like how the rockets on the space station like spin keep them out of Earth orbit, and also creates the gravity on the space station. And then that's how he has the idea. It's like, let's wreck the Ark onto Earth and like see if we can survive. And it's like, why wouldn't you just do that anyways? Like, why wouldn't that be the first thought? Like, let's see what happens. And then he comes up with like schematics, and he's like, what will happen if we put the Ark in the atmosphere? And the guy's like, well, it'll split up into the six. Or the first, the breaking points will be like where we attached all these 6 different space stations together. So it'll break up into the original 6 space stations, and then about 95% of the Ark will burn up in orbit. And he's like, can you identify the 5% that wouldn't?
It's a big fucking chance. Holy shit. Yeah, that whole burning up in the atmosphere thing. You gotta find a way around that. Space elevator. What if we took the space station apart and built a giant space elevator?
But there's a lot of interesting ideas that happened there, or kind of a lot of the interesting things that happened in Ascension.
Oh, okay.
Because it's kind of like this generation thing where it's like they have to, a lot of people they have to just survive so they can eventually go back to Earth, but they're just sitting outside Earth the whole time.
Yeah.
And they're constantly running out of supplies, like and there's weird things that come, like it's illegal to have more than one child, and so there's like this one girl, she was like a secret child, and like they hid her in like like the underneath the floor, anytime they had inspections and stuff like that. So like the kids make fun of her and call her like the girl under the floor, and there's like a tragic thing where like her brother becomes like one of the security people, and then like they had like some sort of like Halloween event, so like he gave her a mask, and he's like, here, you can go meet people for the first time.
Jesus.
And then that's when she gets caught, and then their mother gets killed, and they get put.
Throw her out of an airlock.
Yeah.
It's a thing to do.
Yeah.
Makes for a stable society. You put people under that kind of pressure. Just the only punishment's murder. Grab hold. All right. Well, let's take a little 1-minute break here, and then hold on, and then we'll be right back to discuss The Leftovers and the Nine Inch Nails album.
The Slip.
All right, YouTube, bear with me long enough to go to the bathroom, and we'll be right back.
The sentence is death.
A new life awaits you in the off-world colonies. The chance to begin again in a golden land of opportunity and adventure. New climate, recreational facilities, easy advancement, great pay, plus a loyal, trouble-free companion given to you upon arrival absolutely free. Use your new friend as a personal body servant or a tireless field hand. This custom-tailored, genetically advanced humanoid replicant designed especially for your needs. So come on, America. Let's put our team up there. Give this country another chance. Let's go to the colonies.
This announcement has been brought to you by the Tomato Tomatoes Corporation. Helping America.
Oh, hey, there you are. Just playing something for the people on YouTube. I figured if I performed a live sex act, I would get us kicked off, so I decided to play some music.
You violated the terms of our agreement.
And you violated the rules of human decency, you fat pig. You ready to start recording?
Yeah. All right, I'm ready to record.
All right, I'm recording.
I'm recording.
And we're back.
We're back.
So you finally saw the last episodes of The Leftovers.
Yeah.
Did you walk away with a more favorable impression than you initially had, or was it just more of the same?
Oh yeah, those. I think the last 5 episodes are definitely the best.
Yeah.
As you see, like it's like the things I didn't like about like the first 3 episodes are kind of abandoned by the last 7.
Oh, okay. So what were the things you didn't like, just to recap?
I don't know, just like the different cult people. It's like why are people following this? This doesn't make sense. Like these people seem wildly rational. I mean, not necessarily it's the other cult, like the
Not the guilty remnant sort of makes sense, but the
yeah, they somewhat make
shoeless
sense.
cult and the other shit is kind of
Yeah.
weird. And the guy who, like, I'm gonna have sex with all these Asian girls and have babies. Like, why are they
Yeah.
following Holy Roy? Or
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
But that kind of gets left aside when they start kind of following around. When they spend time in the episode to basically follow one character around, that's kind of their best episodes.
Yeah,
So I saw the Preacher episode.
that was a really good one. That was an effective one.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
like Christopher Eccleston a lot. So
yeah, I mean, it kind of everything happened. It's like everything bad you thought was going to happen happened.
yes, that's the thing about this series. It's like dark. I mean, it's there's almost no redemption in this at all.
Yeah. But my favorite episode was the Nora Durst episode. That is
Oh yeah.
that is front to back the best episode.
Now what happens in that one?
Well, it starts out where she's conducting this interview because she's like a part of the Department of Departure or something like that. I can't remember the exact
Yeah,
name.
she gives people money. Is this the one where she was interviewing the couple with the retarded kid?
I'm not sure. I mean,
They were asking the weird questions like, "Has he ever been to Brazil? Did he ever have
they-
sex with more than
yeah.
3 people?" Or yeah.
Yeah, there's like it's a bunch of questions. I think there's 122. It's basically trying to figure out a commonality between the people that were taken
Right.
or departed, whatever. And it starts out there, and then she's like stalking a woman, and they're like, well, this is kind of weird, and then she like calls up like a sort of like a call girl,
Yeah.
like what's going on here, and it's like, I want you to shoot me. It's like,
And she's playing Slayer's Angel of Death in the background. And she's like a 40-some-year-old housewife, and yeah, she's like, "I want you to shoot me. Nothing can happen. This is a bulletproof vest." Yeah.
Yeah, and like she's trying to commit suicide. It's like she's like, no, like if I wanted to be dead, I could handle it. I need you to shoot me, and she pulls out the bulletproof vest, and like, so it's like her thing, and then she gets shot, and the hooker runs away, and then and then she kind of like breathes back to life in a little bit, and that's like that cuts to the opening. It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's pretty fucked up, and then like the rest of the episode follows her around, and there's just like a lot of funny moments that happen there too. So it's kind of like very dark, but also very a lot of levity is given to this episode, which kind of makes it why it's my favorite episode.
Yeah.
There's that one laugh out loud moment where she doesn't want to go to this conference in New York, she's talking about the chief of police. Can't remember his name. Um, he's like the main character.
Yeah.
And she's like, you want to go to Florida with me? He's like, what? It's like, I have to go to this conference and I don't want to go there. And she's like, do you just want to go, cut off and go to Florida? He's like, it's like, that sounds nice, but my daughter. And she goes, oh, fuck your daughter.
Kevin Garvey is his name. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, excuse me, and she's like, I'm sorry. And then goes back to being sad and goes into New York to go do that thing.
Yeah, that weird conference that has all kinds of strangeness. See, this is the first episode for me where you get a glimpse of the larger world, which is really fucked up. It's like one of the reasons these people are so emotional and weird. I think this is just one of my theories. We're going to find out is the rest of the world is really fucked up in a serious way. It's like there's a lot more going on in the rest of the world than like America can always retain its sheen of normality because we have infrastructure and roads and money, but I'm guessing there's been a few hints, very few, but some of the stuff that goes on at this conference and the stuff with the dead bodies all over the road and stuff, it's like, yeah, there's something really wrong with the world.
Well, there's that one call where like the one lady of the guilty remnant, she gets stoned to death,
And that was a brutal stoning too. That was even for HBO. It's like, how long is this gonna go on? Jesus Christ! There's a lot of people. Guy for I think it was the New York Times. He tapped out. He goes, I'm not gonna. I love this show. I cannot watch it anymore if this is the kind of shit they're gonna do. So that was kind of interesting, I thought.
But so like and Kevin says Kevin Garvey, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. He gets pissed off because like it's like the ATF EC. It's like alcohol, tobacco, firearms, extremists, and cultists now.
Yeah.
and like they because of the the guilty remnant are considered a cult, like so they get involved with this and take the body away. And they finally gets a call back from the ATF EC guy,
and it's a call with very sinister undertones.
Yeah, he's
like, look, I can just make this go away.
Yeah.
I can make these guys disappear.
And that's when you realize, like, what all those bodies, like, because the end of one of the previous episode, there's just all these bodies strewn about all on the highway. And like, what the fuck's going on here?
And they're wrapped in like, they're wrapped in like cloth, like body bags.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, this is just. The government is like implicit in just eradicating these weird cultist people because they like make everyone feel bad.
Yeah.
And like they inspire violence or whatever. So that's like one of those like kind of reveals about what's going on in the rest of the world. Is like, well, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that must be something scary. Something more to this. Well, Lindelof has talked about next season, and he's already said there's going to be kind of a cast shakeup. They are going to keep the Justin Theroux and a lot of the other main characters, but he says the focus is going a lot wider. You're going to find out more about America and the rest of the world.
I read somewhere that said that all the material from the book was completed by the end of the first season, and so now they're completely new territory.
Yeah.
But like you said, like I needed to see the last episode.
Yes.
The whole time I was waiting, it's like, when are they gonna pull this supernatural gun out or pull the trigger on the supernatural thing? And they're like, no. They don't. I mean, they keep alluding to it. There's like hints of like, I mean, there's like that moment where they have like they go to like the day before the what do they call it? They don't call it the rapture, dude. I can't remember what they call it.
The departure.
The departure. And there's like stuff where like he's looking at, there's like a crack on the ceiling with a painting on it. He's kind of like staring at it. There's the deer running around, and then there's like he's on a jog and he's just smoking, and then like the manhole just blows up. And then there's those ladies that drive up before that, like to him, was like, "Are you ready to go?" He's like, "Oh, sorry, we had you confused with somebody else." So like, either that's just meaningless, like this like actually doesn't mean anything, but it has like some sort of weird, tangential relationship. Like this is just like psychological backfiller. It doesn't actually mean anything. or it could mean something. You never know.
You'll find out.
And then with him going crazy and having some borderline schizophrenia going on or some sort of borderline personality disorder where he's
And
like
then his dad and the National Geographic, and
yeah
it's like, you're being invited to join, and you got to read this magazine. And yeah, there's always peripheral hints, but the only real supernatural seeming thing that happened that I saw in this whole series was the stuff with the preacher and when he won the money and the red light and all that. But that wasn't really like obvious. That was just like, well, that could be, or that could just
could or
be
could not.
happenstance.
It's deniable.
Yeah,
Supernatural. Because I think they still want to have a real world where something like supernatural occurred.
Yeah, they only want one supernatural thing, which was the departure, and then everything else is like, oh, we have to react to this rationally in a world bound by rules.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, we can't have, like, the Star Child's not going to come and help us. Like, oh, this all makes sense now. No, it's going to be fucked up people dealing with, fucked up problems. Because the book was always a catharsis about 9/11.
Yeah.
It was never about, like, they never revealed in the book. It's like, what was this? Well, nobody knows. And you actually, because Garvey was screwing around with his wife on the day of the departure with some chick that actually vanished in the room with him.
Yeah.
There was nothing dramatic or magical about it. She was like, 1 minute she was there, next minute she wasn't. It's like, what the fuck? Like nobody disappeared into a puff of smoke or went down screaming. It's just like, nope, they're just gone.
And the really fucked up one was, spoilers, I guess, kind of, is that his wife was pregnant, and then when the departure happened, the baby was gone.
Yeah, the baby departed right in front of her on the machine.
Yeah, and that's like, oh yeah, that's fucked up. Which like that kind of like sampling, because like they talk about like they can't find a single like thing that for the people who departed, like there's no commonality. It's like just wide sampling, and it's like that always leads to like, well, it must be some sort of alien abduction or something.
Right.
But it's not going to be that, because that would be lame.
Yeah, that'd be stupid. That's not what you expect from the people who wrote Lost.
Well, no, that's exactly what what you expect from the people lost is that every
This is
explanation.
purgatory. Yeah.
It's God abducting people as aliens.
Yeah.
Or I almost expect there to be some sort of reverse thing where it's like, it wasn't that everyone else was taken, it was that they were taken, and this is the world that's presented in front of them.
This is purgatory.
Yeah.
This world that you're in now is the hell, and that you might find out something. I don't know. I don't know what part of the writing team for Lost Lindelof represented. Was he the cool guy who invented the Dharma Initiative and on the shafts, and was the other guy the dork who threw all the spiritualist bullshit in it? I mean, I don't know which one he is. I don't know. Because I know it's just one half of the writing team for Lost, which is a show I really liked, and then just had to end up forgiving. like a lost child, I had to accept it's like, well, this didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, but such is life. So I don't know what this, but I tell you what I did like was that last episode. that was a powerful, because see, the whole thing with this series, what I like about it is it fucks with your emotions, it fucks with the people's emotions in it. Sometimes you watch these and you're just like, God damn, I just eat a bullet. Why do you hang on? What the fuck are you doing? But then you show up next week and you watch it again. And what they did to the people who had lost people, with the wax dummies and shit, like it was a full on fucking ride. It's like, oh, these guilty remnant people, they are fucking dead. If that was a family member of mine, you better believe I'd be shooting that house to shreds. And that's pretty much what happened too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that happen with the guilty remnant. I don't know if they're gone yet, but essentially their leadership has been annihilated.
Well, I mean, that's another thing you never find out is like, is this where it began, or is this just a chapter? And the way the ATF guy makes it sound like it's just one of their chapters. So
yeah.
But it's
I don't think this guilty remnant in Mapleton is like the only one.
Yeah.
Because there's a wider group out there because they're getting money to do this somehow.
Well, I mean, all the people that join it like basically give up all their riches and stuff, but
yeah.
But still, it's But yeah, that was like a big thing where it's like, this whole episode I'm waiting for some supernatural thing, and then like that happens. Like, oh, that's really fucked up, and that will cause something to happen. That will cause quite a reaction.
That will cause borderline supernatural human emotions and levels of violence heretofore unprecedented, but completely understandable. Because when the guy comes back to town and the lady's got the 45 and she's firing at people running down the street, and the cop's like, stop, and she just turns around like, fuck you. Like, I'm not stopping. I don't give a shit. It's like, yeah, that's very. I could absolutely see that. I mean, that's that one thing I like with this show is how it fucks with you emotionally, because these are all like, you're just unrelenting bad, and none of these characters are really likable either. It's like these are just the remnants of what used to be human beings. That's and the cult leader, the larger lady, she kind of went out in style.
Patty.
It's like, yeah, now me and the preacher are gonna have to hide a body together. And the guy who may or may not be real helped me kill her. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, no, he's real, but
yeah, he is, but it's kind of a mysterious character nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was one thing. Like, whether I thought there might be hinting at supernatural stuff. Is like one, the way what she was talking, very vague, but also very big, and it's like, about like, what's going on. You're the one that are answering the question while everyone else is stopped or whatever, and then like you don't forget or something like that. Like you and me were the same, and then it's also sort of mirroring some stuff that his dad's saying to him, and then there's also a moment where that one guy that he's always hanging out with was like leaving the cabin, and almost like his dad did, where his dad's like, he's schizophrenic, so he's talking to someone that isn't there, so he looks off in the distance to his imaginary friend and says something, and there's a point where like he kind of does that. He says, well, I tried, and he's kind of looking off like he's talking to somebody who isn't there.
Right.
So you don't know, but of course that's easily explained. He's just saying shit. So, but and then there's also the moment where like in the last episode where it starts off where it's just a dream, but you don't know it yet, and Patty comes back, and it's like, but you're dead, and like he's in an insane asylum, and nothing makes sense, and like, oh, it's just a dream, don't worry about it.
Well, that's like, not yet. He can't be in the insane asylum too. Yeah, it'll be worth a look when it comes out.
Yeah, season 2 should be. Season 2 is gonna make or break this.
Yeah, this will be it. I mean, well, they are working with the original writer though. So.
Well, no, I just mean like if season 2 is the most important season of any show, because if they lose ratings, it's dead. If they fuck up the story somehow, it's dead. Like season 2 is the most important season. You either make season 2 is either the best season of any show, or it's the last season of any show.
Yeah. It's like, this was such a good show up until this point. I remember this.
That and anything beyond season 7, if anything ever gets there, because usually, the actors sign 7-year contracts for these shows. So if you get beyond season 7, that's usually when the cast is gone.
Yeah. Everyone's sick of everyone else. It's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, it's like I got a ton of money, and I'm tired of playing the same character because you don't do anything different with me. So kill me off.
I'm talented. Watch my career soar. Bye.
It's like CSI. What even fucking is that show anymore? Like, people still watch it, but like I have no idea what that show is now. It's almost a completely different cast now.
Yeah, I don't I don't know. Is Law and Order still on?
No, not the original one. SVU's still on.
Oh, okay.
That still has Monk. So.
Oh, does it?
Or is that the character? Richard. Richard Belzer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's played the same character since Homicide: Life on the Street. I think his character's name's Monk. I can't remember, but.
Oh, okay.
And he played that in Homicide: Life on the Street. And then he did a guest episode of the X-Files as that character.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then he was in some other television show as that character, and then he was in Law and Order SVU. He's been on that show ever since as that character.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Just keeps bringing the character back to life.
Yeah, so he's been playing that same character for like almost like 25 years.
That's a good run. I mean,
Yeah.
get paid. Have a house in the Hamptons with that kind of money.
He gets to be a comedian. He's really serious about conspiracy theories.
Yeah, he's a conspiracy theory guy. I've heard him on some podcasts. He gets to do everything.
Yeah.
It's like a full life, but not everyone would. You'd know who he was, but you wouldn't recognize him maybe right away.
He gets to hang out with Ice-T.
You know? And who wouldn't want to do that?
Ice-T seems like a fun guy.
He does.
But he's totally chill now. It's like he's not
not
killing
angry
cops
anymore.
He plays
Yeah.
a cop on television.
They ever play that? They ever play Cop Killer on the show just for a joke,
I doubt
like in the background radio?
I'm pretty sure like Ice-T's like, I'm not getting paid for this anymore. I signed those right there. He's like, don't play this on the show.
Yeah, I smoked those rights.
I think he has like some weird contract where basically they pay him basically like a Porsche every year. He's like, what's a Porsche cost? Like, give me that money. Then he gets a new Porsche every year.
Wow, that's a tough life. Gotta buy a new Porsche. Who's the guy who's really into Porsches? The comedian
I don't know.
Seinfeld.
No.
And he likes the ones from like, I want the 1968 Carrera S. I only wanted 4 of those. It's like, I'm Jerry Seinfeld. Okay.
I have $1 billion.
Yeah,
That to me.
I have more money than God. Whatever happened to Amy Schumer?
She's still on. She has a show on.
I haven't seen her show. I don't know if they canceled her show or not. I haven't seen any new ones.
I think it's on hiatus. I'm pretty sure they're still making it.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty good show.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
They actually like Comedy Central has some really good shows on. I just don't watch Comedy Central anymore. Because like that and Key and Peele and then like Drunken History, like they're all really good, but I just don't watch Comedy Central. And South Park.
That Drunken History is amazing. It's the best thing ever.
And Workaholics is pretty good, but like I just never sit down to watch it.
Yeah.
But every time I see it, I was like, that's funny. Why don't I watch this show? I guess I don't give a fuck. I don't really identify with office work comedies, even though I've seen the entire run of the American Office.
Yeah. I like
Didn't bother to see the original version.
Should see the original version. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it holds up well. I'm always amazed by speaking of comedies, the Adult Swim. Like some of those shows, like that Aqua Teen and Squidbillies. It's like there's some dark currents under those shows now. I mean, I think there always were, but it just seems to get crazier as time goes on.
You need to watch Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that.
Because there's some fucking serious, like, it's not just like, oh, this is fucked up. It's like, because that's what they do. It's like, it's emotionally fucked up what happens in some of those episodes. And it's just crazy and funny, too.
Yeah.
But there's an episode where they have to go to another universe where in which they died. So they show up right when their other 4 versions of themselves like kill themselves, like doing some experiment, and then they bury their bodies in the backyard, and then like it's playing this really sad song by Mazzy Star, and like he's like looking
Fade
out
into you.
No, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like it's just a really fucking sad song, and then like you see him like he's like hanging out with his family, like it's his family, but it's not really his family, and then like he goes up to his room that's not really his room, and he stares down at his grave of the person of that, and like he's thinking about like his former universe where now his parent, or for all he knows, his family's dead, but they're not.
I'll check that out. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the other one, like the Heart She Holler, it's like, how the fuck do they keep getting this on?
That's fucking crazy. I can't even understand that show. It's just that is, and Patton Oswalt's great in it, and like everyone's great in it. But yeah,
It was just gotten so weird now.
yeah.
It's like the first season was like, oh, that's fucked up, but I can sort of follow it. Now it's just like things shooting out of people's bodies, and
Well, you have to escalate it. Yeah.
yeah, I guess.
It's like how weird and avant-garde can we get and have people still accept it as comedy? It's like almost,
Isn't the guy who did that was that the same guy who did the Wonder Shows?
I think.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
'Cause that's an awesome show.
Yeah.
Kids on the beat, kids on the beat, beat kids. Beat kids. I need hot dogs to fight my demons. That man's a priest. I need hot dogs to fight my daddy. Anyway, Nine Inch Nails, The Slip. It's a smooth segue into that. See,
What were we supposed? What were we? Oh, we were gonna talk about leftovers. We got out of that. Okay.
What's that?
I said we got out of the leftovers.
Yeah, it's kind of, well, we're just waiting. 'Cause I know it's something you kind of tapped out on a while back, and I was like, give it another chance. It gets better.
Well, I was trying to watch it, and I was like watching it at the gym, and I think I got to like the third episode, and it was I don't even remember what happens in that episode, but it was, but the episode I started up on, which was the priest episode, that was kind of like when it was doing character focused stuff. That's when it got better.
Yeah.
When it wasn't trying to skip to all the 10 different characters and like let's spend 3 not quality minutes with this character and then just show how sad they are.
Yeah.
Where it's like, here we're gonna delve into the sadness. We're really gonna bring it out in them.
Not only is this guy fucked up, but you're gonna know why. And you're gonna understand exactly what drives this man. All right, but anyway, 2008, Nine Inch Nails, The Slip,
Yeah.
which was given away as a gift to his fans.
Yeah, free to all. With the headline that wrote itself, which is Nine Inch Nails gives us the slip.
Oh, perfect. Now, what were your thoughts on this album as a super fan?
This is a great album.
Yeah.
I mean,
same year as Ghost, right?
Yeah, I think around there. I mean, I think a lot of stuff came out. There's like Ghost, this, and How to Destroy Angels was like all around the same period.
Yeah.
And I think even the Social Network soundtrack was kind of around here too. So it was like a big time, like a lot of Nine Inch Nails stuff or just Trent Reznor stuff coming out at this time. But like I guess it originally was supposed to be just an EP, and then they just kind of threw a couple extra tracks, developed a couple extra tracks, and then just made it a full-on album, and then just gave it out for free.
Yeah.
But I actually bought it.
Yeah.
So I have a limited copy, presumably limited copy. It actually has it was like 127,000 out of 250,000.
Do you have it with you?
Yeah, it's on somewhere. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's 45,883 out of 500,000.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. Because it sold like 2.5 million copies or something, didn't it?
I don't know. I imagine. I mean, you could just get it all online if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's it's 2 CDs. Just says audio and video. And then just some artwork for each of the songs. So it's kind of similar to how the Ghost album worked, where there was like this kind of album of each song had a specific kind of image associated with it.
Oh, okay.
And then the lyrics are written in here.
Excuse me.
Like there's 999,999.
That's cool. It's very creative.
There's just 1 million.
Yep. It's kind of a continuation of the art theme from.
Yeah, there's the kind of the flag from Year Zero.
Yeah.
Just kind of
has a Year Zero motif in it. Some of the songs on this album sound like they could have fit in very easily on Year Zero.
Yeah, no, I think all of the songs with lyrics are seem like they're kind of B-sides from Year Zero, and then all the songs that are instrumental just kind of seem like they were B-sides from Ghosts.
Okay.
But Ghost is so big that I was like, wasn't Ghost a B-side? It had a
Yeah,
B,
it's like there's
C, and a D
B-sides of
side.
B-sides. What's going on here?
So it kind of seems like a confluence of like the previous two albums.
I like the description of this album one critic gives. They called it industrial disco, especially the song Discipline.
Yeah, that's probably the most poppy song Nine Inch Nails ever made.
And it's interesting. It's almost like I said, it's very aptly described as industrial disco.
Yeah.
Very it sort of reminds me a little bit of Rammstein, maybe. Like we're not taking ourselves too seriously, but we are.
It almost reminded me of like when U2 did the whole discotheque phase.
Yeah, let's play the song while we're talking. So, oh, let me turn that down a little bit, or we're not gonna be able to talk.
But the lyrics still have like that. There's kind of a weird edge and sexual frustration presented in this song. So it's like, oh yeah, this is Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, strong Nine Inch Nails DNA, but also sort of reminiscent of like, oh, I can see other influences here. And a great video you showed me on YouTube. Nine Inch Nails as the Village People / what did I say? Oh, they also reminded me of Steely Dan, kind of.
Yeah.
Very leather sexual San Francisco vibe to the whole video, which was not a Nine Inch Nails official. It was some animation somebody did. It was pretty clever, though.
Yeah, it was really crude, but like it came out before the album, and I think Trent Reznor linked to it, so it was basically the official.
Yeah.
Now,
Like the thing at the end with the SWAT team coming in and shooting everyone. It's like, oh, that's tribute to Year Zero.
Year Zero.
Yeah.
It was like some guy, I can't remember, it was like Meathead something Productions or something, and it was like some guy who's like a Nine Inch Nails fan, and he does like Nine Inch Nails themed humor. It's weird, so.
Nine Inch Nails themed what?
Humor.
Oh, okay.
Which you
That's
don't
an
think
interesting pick.
Yeah, you would think that wouldn't really be possible, but it is somehow.
It's like Nazi romance or Russian hope. How does this happen? So would you say this is the most popular song off the album, or at least the most well-known?
Yeah.
I heard this was like a big hit in the dance clubs.
Oh yeah, I can see.
Or the discotheque in Europe. Somebody said that in a review. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I think this is the only song that's really known from this album. Although I really like the album, but nothing else is really catchy as this song is.
Yeah.
Although I really like A Million, but that's not really something you turn into a club hit.
Yeah. Now there seems to be a lot of themes of addiction on this album. Addiction and love and escaping addiction as if it's the same thing. I sort of picked that up in some of the songs.
Well, yeah, I mean this is like sober Reznor. So.
Oh, is this the first sober album?
No, the first sober album was With Teeth.
Oh, okay. The Angry album.
Yeah, so which was like, I didn't like it as much. It's like, oh, I guess he needs to start doing drugs again if we're gonna get this shit.
Well, as somebody who doesn't smoke anymore, I can kind of understand the frustration of like, I can't do that anymore. God damn it. So yeah, I sort of get this whole addiction thing now.
But like he figured it out, and he just started whatever, and he was getting married around this time too. So it's like, oh, Reznor found love, and then like it didn't destroy his creativity. In fact,
yeah, I'd like that interview with him and the girl he married, because she's from like Thailand or something, isn't she?
I don't know. I mean, I think ethnically she's from around there. I don't know if she's actually.
I mean, yeah, she's probably American, but I mean, I loved her. I loved How to Destroy Angels. I loved her. Her vocals are amazing.
Yeah.
But again, we're off topic. Nine Inch Nails.
Well, no, that's around this period. So I mean, I
Okay.
think The Slip, How to Destroy Angel, and all these soundtracks are germane to whatever this conversation is. Because after this, it's one more album, and then we're done. So.
This is it, huh? Damn.
So the next one.
When's the next one? It's the ETA.
I don't I think Resident. I didn't even know the last one was coming out or they were making it. So I figured
Yeah.
he was busy doing Fincher, projects.
Well, this soundtrack thing seems to be working out really well for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks because he does interviews. He talks about those, and he seems like really invested in it. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we've been talking about, like a lot of, I think lyrically, a lot of what Nine Inch Nails. I mean, the writing wise has been going kind of downhill, but like the quality of the music has stayed the same. And like Ghost was kind of like a preview into like, he's gonna start. He's gonna stop trying to have something to say, and he's just gonna do the musical stuff now. And so like the soundtrack stuff totally makes sense.
yeah,
And like you can see like with Ghost, he was really light on lyrics because there's no lyrics. And then even here, like I think there's only like 5 songs with lyrics.
yeah. It's only like 4 or 5. Yeah. Now Atticus Ross, he partners with him a lot, because he did the Social Network with him,
And also he was a
and
part of How to Destroy Angels.
okay, and then Gone Girl.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
and the girl with the dragon tattoo.
oh, that's right. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
I
Which
think
is a
I think
that's an
since
interesting
Social Network,
collaboration.
he's worked on every David Fincher film.
Yeah. Yeah, David Fincher makes some good movies. Are they doing a sequel to that?
The girl with dragon tattoo. Are they gonna do the girl who played with fire? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't
I
recall
think
hearing
they
about
spent
it.
a lot of money on that movie, and I'm not sure they made it back.
Oh, okay. Well, I always thought that movie was a wonderfully atmospheric.
Yeah.
It was a great movie for that. Not probably, unfortunately, story wise, not as good as the Swedish one, but I thought like the soundtrack definitely helped
Yeah.
make that
Much
movie
better
like
soundtrack, yeah.
very atmospheric.
But I mean, I would really like to see him take on the girl who played with fire, because I think that movie sucks. The Swedish version.
I've only watched I've read all the books and I only watched the Swedish version of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo because I watched the American version
Yeah.
of it, and I was trying to see. It's like, oh, can I get more invested in these characters with one version? No, they're equally as bland. Okay, I mean they're not, but they are sort of
Yeah.
on film. They're sort of one-dimensional in the books. They were a little more. But now, has Trent Reznor ever has he ever done any science fiction soundtracks?
He's done work with like the id guys like when Quake and stuff.
I knew he did some video games type sci-fi stuff, but I didn't know if he'd ever done any movies where. I didn't think he had, but I was just throwing that out there.
I
I
mean,
wasn't sure.
he's done some stuff for like he did like a track for Lost Highway. It wasn't Nine Inch Nails. It was just listed as him as Trent Reznor. It's called
Okay.
Driver Down, which that's really
Oh,
good, like that. It's just instrumental, but it's really good.
yeah. Lost Highway was a very coherent and good movie. It's easy to follow.
um, and then he's just done a lot of video game work. I think he had something involved in the Doom movie. Maybe like they took some track of his or something.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Because he really liked Doom the video game. So he's like, oh, they're making a movie. Maybe here you guys can have this. And then that was a terrible piece of shit. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah. Nobody else has asked him to make soundtracks. It's just Fincher, but I don't know if like there's people lining up like we need you to do this now.
Well, I don't know the kind of mood. It's like the movies he's done, like The Social Network. I wouldn't think of him as being the guy, but then you watch the movie with the soundtrack, you're like, oh, that's fucking perfect. That was brilliant. Because I just when I think about like what that movie's about, it's like, oh, the guy who made Facebook. Where's Trent Reznor fit into this? But then you realize it's like, oh, that guy was just like a dark, empty hole of emotions, and it's like the perfect venue for this music.
And
Gone
a
Girl, yeah,
little bit of sense of humor when they have like the Trent Reznor version of In the Hall of the Mountain King.
yeah,
Where
yeah,
it's
that
like,
was pretty cool.
I think Fincher just said like, "Can you do In the Hall of the Mountain King?" And he's like, "Are you fucking serious?" Like he thought David Fincher was joking. He was like, "Oh shit, I gotta do this now."
Oh, no, I'm very serious. I'm quite serious.
And
Sure, I can do this.
I think that he said like a lot of the album just like was very natural for the Social Network soundtrack. That was the one thing where they had to like, keep going back to it. It's like, are you sure you want this?
Oh, okay. So that was the only thing they like, not a bone of contention, but maybe we're gonna have to go over this a few times.
Yeah. It's like David Fincher and Trent Reznor are both perfectionists, so that must have been like a weird thing.
Yeah.
Tiptoeing around like, how do I give constructive criticism with this and we don't kill each other in the end?
Yeah, because that was such an interesting. I have that. You gave me that soundtrack, so I have, and I've listened to that a few times. But I don't know. It's again. It's the Nine Inch Nails stuff is the Trent Reznor soundtracks are so subtle.
Yeah.
But you can tell how they directly translate from Nine Inch Nails to like it's like you can see all the same DNA. So it's interesting.
Well, I mean, you can see in like the movie like Seven, it starts off with like an altered version of a Nine Inch Nails song. It seems like David Fincher was just waiting for Trent Reznor to be a composer.
You ready for this yet?
And it's very different from what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Except for like maybe the guy who did like the fucking what is that? Requiem for a Dream, like that dude.
Oh, can't think of his name, but yeah.
But like that, they kind of have a similar style, but I think the Requiem for a Dream guy is a bit more orchestral, but they kind of have a similar kind of eerie DNA to their soundtracks.
Yeah. And that was a happy movie too.
That guy actually did work on the Doom soundtrack. He made the Doom soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
Clint
Clint Mansell.
Yep.
Because he did a soundtrack for a movie I like, the Fountain.
Oh yeah.
That was another Darren Aronofsky movie. But that one where they slashed the budget right in the middle. It's like you have half the money you thought you did. We've seen this piece of shit, and we're not going to fund it anymore. And I actually thought I enjoyed the movie, but I can understand why a studio would be a little hesitant to like, let's go $125 million into this. Really incoherent, weird story. But I don't know the interstices of it. But yeah, I know Clint Mansell does a lot of. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But yeah, like you said, it's almost Hans Zimmer meets Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
Because Trent Reznor does not do the orchestral stuff at all.
No. Just him and Atticus. Let's make this computer do shit for us.
Yeah. Well, you don't need that in everything. Like especially like the movies. I mean, I haven't seen Gone Girl, but Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and The Social Network, those were like really dynamically driven movies, a lot driven by the characters and the dialogue. Like you don't need a big booming soundtrack behind that.
No.
That'd be interesting. Let's see what Trent Reznor did Interstellar soundtrack versus. It's like, oh wow, because that's still my favorite soundtrack.
I mean, there's like stuff
year.
like in the Hand Cover Bruise song where it's just kind of this weird. It's like these like 3 piano notes, and like they're very. Those really stand out, and there's just like this weird, like almost like bug-like violin in the background, just kind of like playing ominously and just kind of like growing tension.
Yeah. That's what. Those solo piano riffs. That's something Trent Reznor revisits a lot. Because then Closer had that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Hurt was like that. That was just like piano solo. And every album has a Hurt, and like track 7. Is this album's Hurt, which is Lights
called
in the Sky. Lights in the Sky.
All right.
Which is the name of the tour.
Oh, was this the tour they did to support it?
Yeah. And here it was Lights in the Sky, and in Japan it was the Ninja Tour. Because it was Nine Inch Nails, so it was NIN, and there was a slash, and there was JA for Japan, so it was Ninja.
Oh, that's clever. I wonder if the Japanese who don't use a Western alphabet got that.
Probably. I don't know.
They just probably showed up like, we're here for something crazy. Whatever happens is good. Will there be tentacle sex?
The white people with guitars showed up. It'll be entertaining.
Yes, we'll be entertained by their round-eyed barbarian madness. So, what's your favorite song on this album?
Well, it's Discipline.
This one, okay.
And
So
then,
you're kind of going with the consensus on that?
well, it's just a really fun song to listen to.
Do you listen to this while you work out?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a good song to do that too, but I don't really listen to music to work out.
I'm still on my treadmill with Downton Abbey. That's like my workout is Downton Abbey. Maybe that's why I hate do that.
I think Head Down is probably my next favorite song. I think it's like, I kind of wrote, it's like dirty with a pretty chorus.
Is that heavy, that classic Nine Inch Nails distortion?
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see the evolution of tech between Pretty Hate Machine and this album. How you needed, like, oh, I need a drum machine and all this shit to do Pretty Hate Machine, and it just shrinks down into like a Mac Pro.
Yeah. I don't know, he's still using like these big, complicated, outdated like, musical instruments to do
Oh, is he? Okay. That doesn't surprise
it's a
me.
combination. He'll have like something like, here's an iPad with something hooked up to a computer and like it does a thing, but then here's like this weird machine from the 1970s that's like the Tesla Corporation.
Yeah, here's an iPad hooked up to an XLR cable. It's like, what are we doing? How's that even possible? It's like wires just soldered onto a pole. It works.
I mean, there's this one where it's just some weird machine. It has like this band on it, and then you press the band down and it like makes some sort of connection, like some electrical connection, and then like how you stretch the band and where you touch it and where you move it creates a different sound.
Oh, it was like a theremin type thing?
Yeah, it's like basically unpredictable. It's just you can affect it, and then like it does things, but you can't like reliably look at it. Like you can't like I hold it here and I do it here and I play a G chord. It's just like a weird random thing.
Yeah, it's like I can't really make music like, follow notes or anything with this, but I'll jam on it. It's like, bong, bong. That's a musical instrument.
And then I really like a Million. That's just kind of a good Nine Inch Nails song.
Now, here's a song I found very poignant when listening to the album, and I don't know why, but I really like this song. I'm just going to play it. The Four of Us Are Dying. I don't know what in this song kind of reached out and grabbed me, because there's really not a whole lot there.
This is just instrumental.
It's instrumental, but it's like, I don't know. This song reminds me of being in a confined space or something. Like it has a mood to it.
Yeah.
Very much like a B-side from With Teeth or something. It seems to have similar sound to it, but
yeah.
I mean, you can imagine, like, I don't know, drive through the worst part of devastated Detroit just with this song playing full blast in your car. And I don't know why I like this one, but I did.
A very captivating title.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what it was. The title was at first. I just like how the solo guitar almost sounds like, is that a person chanting, or is it's got that kind of hollowed out, that high. I don't know what note that would be. It's like it makes me think of like someone chanting off a minaret or something. I don't know why, but
It's
sometimes
like
things grab me for weird reasons.
It's almost like the song's being played underwater.
Yeah. There's just something unique to that whole guitar
I just
that I like.
imagine a car is like slowly sinking into a river with 4 people inside of it.
It's like, just wait for the pressure to equalize and you will escape. But no, the seatbelt, it won't release. And then it's like you're the guy who gets out. I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to let you go. Goodbye. Let us touch hands for one last time. Because this is eternity. Or some shit like that. You never know.
This is your grave. This is my redemption.
Yeah. You always want to say shit like that in like crazy moments, but you're just like, fuck! What'd you say? Something about his grave and my redemption, but no, you just ran away with your tail tucked between your legs in fear, because that's what normal people do. Crazy people sit around and reflect on.
The other song I liked was number 3, "Letting You," which is like a kind of staticky punk song.
Okay. Now this one has lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this one, that's what I thought. Oh, he doesn't like his record company. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah, that's what I gave away for free.
That's right.
You guys.
I mean, I could be looking too deep or not deep enough, but
Halo 27.
what was this one again? What, Halo?
Halo 27.
27, my God. It's amazing. And then there's one we haven't listened to yet or tried to play in the background. It's the Corona Radiata, which is just, again,
It's kind of very moody, very ghosts.
yeah.
Instrumental. It's very Ghost Disc 3.
Yeah. It's very everything. It's very Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
It was like the subtle transformer sound effect. And here, I don't mean the movie Transformers. I mean the sound electrical transformer
Yeah.
that kind of backdrops this whole thing.
Sometime after this.
Huh?
Sometime after this is when How to Destroy Angels came out, which has a really cool music video.
It's an amazing music video. I put it on Facebook, much to the horror of my wife. It's like, what kind of shit are you watching? What do you mean? She goes, like, people are burning in a hotel room and they're singing. It's like, well, that's just on the surface.
It's Trent Reznor lying on the ground covered in blood. His wife basically murdered, but singing while she's dead.
And then there's people like watching
Yeah, there's like
movies,
there's
smoking, and the room's on fire.
there's the one girl, I don't know who she is, and then the guy, that's Atticus Ross. Just staying around this room.
Oh, is that Atticus Ross?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to rewatch that. Well, were there any other songs we wanted to play off this album?
No, that's pretty much the whole album.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We try to fit the whole album in.
I mean, there's the last song, which is Demon Seed, but it has like a good build to it, but I don't. And then track 5, I just wrote on here.
Which one's 5? Head Down or Echoplex?
Echoplex.
Echoplex. Well, that's Demon Seed. It does have a good build to it. We can only do that for so long. I got to hear the sound of my own voice so I can fall in love again with the sound of my own voice. So. Anyway, where would you rank this in terms of your Nine Inch Nails super fan?
It's up there. I mean, it's around there with the first 3 albums.
Yeah, this was some people call this the surprise album or the unexpected album.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. It got released for free all of a sudden.
Yeah, and it was like not anticipated.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we had the 2 weeks ago. We had the what would we call that? The Neil Young anti-war album.
Yeah.
And then we had Ghost, which was the I don't know, what would you say? What would you call that one? Experimental album.
Yeah, weird.
I Want to Do Movie Soundtracks album.
Yeah.
And then we have this one, which is kind of like the rest of the best from both those albums.
Fuck the recording studios.
Fuck the recording studios.
The...
Now, was he the first one to do this? I get the album for free with a, or was it the British guys? Because what's their name? The guys who released the King of Limbs. Why am I drawing a blank?
I don't know. I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's like Don't Leave Me High, Don't Leave Me Dry. Radiohead.
Oh.
Didn't they do the first like free album?
I can't remember them doing free.
I don't know who did it first, him or those guys or Reznor.
Well, other people have been doing it, but the this, like these are probably way more high profile.
Yeah.
Up until U2 doing it, we're gonna give away to 100 million people, guaranteed.
I've listened to a lot of that album, and I'm gonna have to say thank you to you two for that, because there's like 7 songs on that album that I listen to in my car. Like that,
Yeah.
these are good songs.
Like I said, like to me that like that because I didn't listen to a whole lot because I don't listen to a whole lot of music anymore, especially not a whole lot of new music. Like to me that was my album of the year.
Yeah, it's like
But
that's awesome.
but like you look at like that's what Rolling Stone said, but like everybody says like, well, it just shows how out of touch Rolling Stone is, because every year they give it to like last year they gave it to like like Bruce Springsteen or something like that. It's like, oh yes, the most relevant artist today is Springsteen.
Well, yeah, I can sort of understand their point of view though, because like when you, it's like let's put Springsteen up against Taylor Swift. It's like, yeah, who's more relevant? Who am I going to endorse? As a human being, I'm going to endorse
Yeah,
Springsteen.
but there's also like just way other albums that are more ambitious, that have more something to say, and also albums that are not a bunch of old white people.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember this whole argument. I didn't know which side to be on when Jethro Tull beat Metallica at Rock Album Island for best hard rock album. It's like, I love Jethro Tull. There's no way that was cooler than Metallica, but it's like I was known in high school as a Jethro Tull fan, so of course I got fucked with because I was the only kid in high school that wore a Jethro Tull shirt to school. And it's like, what do you think about that? I was like, it's bullshit, but okay. I mean, it's the Academy, and then that's not Rolling Stone. That's the Grammys. But it's like, yeah, it's them making a weird decision because that was in like 1990.
Yeah.
I was like, because Rock Island is a cool album. It's not as cool as the Metallica album, though. And I'm a Jethro Tull fan, so.
I mean, that's also like the new thing with like Rolling Stones' continued irrelevancy, where it's like you wonder if like it's intentionally done so to make people argue on the internet, and that's they're relevant through irrelevancy.
Well, I mean,
I remember when they did that 100 greatest albums of all time.
oh yeah, that was like, boy, talk about a lot of internet fuck you. Wow, that was just a bomb.
And then you realize like, oh yeah, this is like I shouldn't, like they want me to get incensed by like, oh yeah, let's put every Radiohead album on here. Like,
yeah, it was almost like they were trying to fuck with you, and I sort of understand it from both
like,
sides.
And every like Bob Dylan, like even his latest CDs, like every Bob Dylan.
Yeah, that was wildly inappropriate.
And I think even like he was like #1 at some point or something like that. Like he was like 1 through 10, he had like 3 spots.
Now, what one was it? Yellow Submarine?
I can't remember.
I'll look it up real fast because I can't remember either. And I don't have my white. Oh yeah, I do. I think it was Yellow Submarine, which I would agree with.
Yeah, no, I'd be fine with that. I mean, any Beatles thing is going to be on there, but there's a lot of stuff that just like a lot of things got left out for an all-time list.
Oh yeah, well that's hard to do.
I mean, yeah, I mean it's for me. It's like it's going to throw like almost every album from the '90s on there. Like that's going to be my thing, and then it's just like and just throw a bunch of Pink Floyd on there. But I think it was actually like missing Pink Floyd stuff.
It was.
Like I think like either The Wall or The Dark Side of the Moon's not on there, like something crazy like that. I think they're probably both.
No, The Wall's in the top. I could be talking out my ass here, but I think The Wall's in the top 75.
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon, though, you're real close to #1 there. I don't know. See, for me, it would be a tough choice. If I had to pick the top 10, even if I had to pick the top 10, like Appetite for Destruction would be up there like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I just it's like and a lot of people, and I'm not a huge like I do like a lot of I do like a lot of Guns N' Roses. Dark Side of the Moon was 43. Right, and the Doors was 42. See, the weird thing they did though is they threw like a lot of anthologies in here up against like regular albums, which is like, oh, we're gonna have the best of everything you ever did against like Dark Side of the Moon or whatever. It's like, yeah, put a best of Pink Floyd there. It's gonna be number one every fucking time. Um, and Jimi Hendrix was 15. Nirvana Nevermind was 17. I agree with that. That kind of established a genre. And that's the cool thing about rock albums. Like you can debate with people. There's a Bob Dylan. The Beatles' Revolver was number 3. Beach Boys number 2. Yeah, I can kind of see that. Yep. It was actually Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band number 1.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
that's fine.
Much as I didn't want to. Well, you got to look at the people at Rolling Stone, the average reader is probably like 20 years older than me, like 30 years older than
Yeah.
you. And the and the average writer, I don't know what age group they're in or what they that's one of those things that's like Star Trek. Rock and roll is like Star Trek with me. I have a lot of opinions about it, but I don't know if I feel like qualified to expound upon it. It's just more like it's just what it means to me. If it means something different to you, great.
Yeah, I mean that's why like lists like that are bullshit because it's like it's like if it means something to you, like you don't need to express yourself in that way, but like it's just like Rolling Stone's gonna do this things like we're gonna declare the 100 greatest albums of all time definitively.
Right. I mean, good luck with that. I mean, because for me, like the number one rock album of all time that I will listen to over and over again is on shirts I wear almost every fucking week on this podcast. Dark Side of the Moon is the best rock album in history, period. And Pink Floyd is not even. Yeah, they're kind of my favorite band, but I would put Aqualung up there as number 2 for the best albums ever for what it means to me. What it means to you is something totally different. And both of those albums happened like before I was born. And I still think they're that good, and we can argue it to death back and forth, with anyone, but it's like it's what it means to me. It's not. You can base it on a lot of different things like sales, and because if it was sales, it was like the number 1 rock album ever would be Michael Jackson's Thriller, and number 2 would be Dark Side of the Moon, and that's just based on like how much money these guys make.
The number 2 would be like the Bee Gees.
No, I think Dark Side of the Moon, just album sales alone. I think everyone has a copy of Dark Side of the Moon, whether they understand it or not.
It's up there, but I believe the Bee Gees sold a crazy amount of albums. Like it's because like they're the only ones.
Is that best of or a single album?
Not single out. I think there's only 3 albums that get up there. There's like Thriller, a Bee Gees album, and something else that gets up there, and like that kind of.
Oh, I thought Dark Side of the Moon was number 2. But I don't research it.
I'll go search the lies on the internet and see what they say.
Yeah, see what the internet tells us, because that's fact.
Top selling albums of all time. Go to Wikipedia because that. Oh yeah, that's Pink Floyd's number 2.
Yeah, see, yeah, we're gonna break the show up over this.
It says Michael Jackson's got 42 million, which that's fucking crazy because Dark Side of the Moon's 22 million. That means it's
that's fucking nuts. It's like half.
And
if you want to debate which is the more serious piece of artwork, yeah, okay. And I like Michael Jackson.
And then this is crazy. The next one is the Bodyguard album.
What?
Yeah, 27 million.
Is this American sales or global?
Music recording sales certification list of music recording certifications. There's the claim sales are even bigger.
What did the Bodyguard have on it besides the Whitney Houston "I Will Always Love You"?
That was it. Just everyone
that was it.
That one song. I mean, there's probably the rest. I never listened to the thing, but there's probably good songs the rest of it. But that's what you buy. I mean, remember how big that Titanic album was, and that was just that one song.
I know. That was played at my wedding, and I love that album.
Then you get the Eagles with 32 million. This isn't really. Oh, this is. Not sure how they organized this.
Off which tour or off which album? Hotel
Um,
California or Hell Freezes
it
Over?
was just their greatest hit, 71 to 75. That's
Right. Yeah. See, those greatest hits. That's not fair because you're putting all their best songs on one album.
because that okay. If we have to okay, we'll go to claim sales because that's how it's organized. So
Okay.
it's 51 to 65 million for Thriller, 45 for Dark Side of the Moon,
Totally.
44 for The Bodyguard,
That's crazy.
42 for the Eagles, and then 40 million for the last three, which is Back in Black, AC/DC, Bee Gees, Saturday Night Fever, and
Uh,
then Fleetwood Mac's Rumors.
yeah. Totally. Yeah. The Bodyguard soundtrack is like that's really queered the mix though. That's everything else on that list I can believe.
Yeah, that's the only thing from the 90s to do that. Everything else was in the 70s and the
70s. Yeah. What was in the 80s? Oh, Thriller. Yeah, Thriller.
80s. Thriller and AC/DC Back in Black.
Oh, that was an 80s album? Okay.
Just 1980. Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
And those are the only albums. Those are the only albums that ever sell over 40 million.
Now, too, with a lot of that stuff, though, some of that information's weird because it's not
Yeah,
based on
old
digital stuff.
And then like sales from around the world gets muddied up. So,
Yeah.
but
And those were physical things. Like you didn't buy. I mean, I think there were like 4 singles off Dark Side of the Moon, but a lot of Pink Floyd stuff was like you had to buy the whole album because
Yeah.
they did some singles. They did a lot more off the wall than they did Dark Side, but
also it's crazy. No Beatles in that list.
yeah,
Like
that is
AC/DC
crazy.
makes that list, but not the Beatles, and like Elvis isn't there either. But I imagine Elvis would be more American and less worldwide.
Yeah, well, I think those are like total album sales. Look at singles and like Elvis and the
Oh yeah,
Beatles are going to be
that's
way
gonna
up
be one
there.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
like
yeah.
I remember they did that one thing for the Beatles, which is like all the Beatles #1 hits, and I think it was
Mhm.
like 16 songs, and they did that for Elvis, and it was like 50 fucking songs.
Oh yeah, I have that album. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And they're all good songs. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa, this takes me back to a time I don't remember and wasn't even conceived in, but it's cool. Um, but yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, because if you look at singles, the Beatles and Elvis are going to dominate, and so is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was both.
Yeah.
Because see, Pink Floyd, what a lot of people forget is it's prog rock. You got to buy the whole album.
Yeah.
That's part of the conceit of that. So
Well, also that's not like the thing about Thriller is like you wanted to buy it, but it was also everywhere.
yeah, and Thriller was a double album too,
What was it?
wasn't it? I think so. Check that. I could be wrong. I remember that being a double because I was really into it when I was a kid.
Also that video, that really.
Oh, that was fucking awesome. It was like a movie.
Yeah, it was just I mean, it's only the
How many
album I
tracks?
had has 9 tracks.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
shit.
that's weird.
That is weird.
I'll have to look. I mean, that's the one I have. That's what's in my iTunes thing.
Yeah.
Hold on, maybe I'll go look elsewhere. I'll go back to Wikipedia. Just click on Thriller. See what tracks.
Well, because that means like
Yeah, 9 tracks.
no shit.
And it's
Name
42
'em.
minutes long, but okay. So you got "Wanna Be Starting Something,"
Yep.
"Baby Be Mine,"
Yep.
"The Girl Is Mine,"
Yep.
"Thriller," "Beat It," "Billie Jean," "Human Nature," "Pretty Young
Billie Jean
Thing.
was on that album?
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. It's a hell of an album.
Yeah, it's like every one of those is a single. Well, I mean, okay, what's after Billie Jean?
"Human Nature." Which,
Yeah, that was a
I
single.
don't remember that, but
I do.
uh,
Why?
"Pretty
Why?
Young Thing,"
Tell us that it's. Oh yeah, Pretty Young Thing was a single.
"The Lady in My Life," and that's the last song.
Don't remember that one.
Yeah, don't remember.
So 8 of those songs were probably high-selling singles.
Yeah.
That guy just so much pussy with that guy. It's just raw cash right there. Yeah. I mean, when they do, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like Artist of the Millennium, that guy's got to win. Or the last millennium.
No, because it'll be like a tarnished legacy, so they'll put him aside.
The thing with Michael Jackson and that stuff, though, they never proved that. I mean, maybe he did pay everyone off, but it's like they never definitively
Well, I
proved
mean,
that he was doing that shit.
that's the power of thriller, because you say like maybe, but that album.
He entertained me so much as a 9-year-old. I don't want to believe he fucked 9-year-olds. I just with him, I don't know that that's true. It's like with guys. I mean, you know, remember the guy in Britain, like that Jimmy Savile or whatever, when they accused him of like having sex with or trying to molest the kids that were dying of cancer and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like when you saw that guy in videos and stuff, you totally believed it's like, oh, that guy's a pede. Why didn't everyone see it before? With Michael Jackson, I don't see that he's like a pedophile. I just see that he's like a deeply strange human being who
Yeah.
I wouldn't let him play with my kids or my kid. It's like if he was still alive and he came over, it's like, oh, I want to, get to know Grayson. It's like, yeah, fuck right off. No matter how much money you have, just go away. But I never got the vibe that he was a pedophile. Michael Jackson to me seemed like a guy who the opposite of a pedophile. He seemed like a guy who, if somebody told me like, oh, his testicles were removed, I totally believe that. Especially that high falsetto voice. I don't know what the deal with him was. It's probably something I don't understand, but I never really believed that he was a pede.
I always felt like it was just like one of those, like one of those there you talk about like strippers or whatever, or hookers, and like they talk like children is because they were molested at that time. So
Oh, and they're like frozen mentally in that
yeah,
time period. Yeah.
arrested development, which like I kind of feel like that's what happened there. Is that there's just this weird arrested development because like he was trying to be an entertainer when he was a kid, and they just he was kept in that whole thing until he was just out so you know worldwide hit, and like there's absolutely nobody he can identify with, and so like he just regresses into this weird world, and that's the only thing he knows, and like the only people I can identify with is children because they're honest or some bullshit, I don't
Or
know.
innocent, or we got his dad was a fucking animal. I mean, I'm putting this out there. You want to sue me, whatever. Everything I've ever read is like his dad was a fucking animal. It's like you're gonna get out there, you're gonna sing, you're gonna dance, you're gonna get us out of Gary, Indiana, which is a shithole if anyone's ever been there. It's a place to get out of. I don't know if I'd beat my children to get them out of it, but
But then
I mean,
but
he
also
had no outlet.
there's also something singular to his weirdness, because like his whole family's weird, but like Janet Jackson's weird, and just she seems, I don't know, she seems just kind of weird, but it seems like she understands the world.
Yeah, like she can live in the world the rest of us live in. Michael Jackson can't. Something came off the tracks there a few turns back where it's like, whoa, we're never going to recover this guy. All we can do is carry him in our arms gently because
also
he can't
seems like
handle this world.
an enormous amount of pressure for him to try to live up to, that sort of quality that he brought out beforehand, and then like even when he was on the like doing those recent tours, and like he's still like doing all the dancing and everything. He's like the only way he's doing that is because he's on so many drugs to not feel pain anymore.
Yeah, and that's the terrible thing. It's like when they were talking about the shit but propofol or whatever, and I don't pretend to understand all those drugs and what they do. I mean, Stacy does somewhat, and I can ask her about it. But that is like powerful. I mean, if anyone's ever seen what was the Silence of the Lambs movie where he cuts the guy's head off and he's awake,
Yeah.
and those were hypnopsychic or hypnotropic surgery drugs that he was giving that guy so he could do. That's what Michael Jackson was taking for recreation. He was that fucked up. This isn't Vicodin. This isn't a little heroin. This isn't a little booze to take the edge off the end of your day. This is like, oh, you can saw the top of my skull off and eat my brains type of, that's the kind of drugs he was doing for recreation. There was no normalcy in his life. And the standards were crazy high. I mean, he outsold Pink Floyd by 2.5 times. How are you going to top that? Everything you do after Thriller sucks, and you're going to be judged extremely harshly on that. I don't know if that'd make me want to have sleepovers with 9-year-old kids, but it'd probably make me a little strange too. I mean, I always just thought of him as just like a sad guy. Like
even if you look at like Jerry Seinfeld, where there's just like that strange loneliness to him.
Yeah.
because he's ultra rich and he still does like comedy and everything. And they had that recent interview with him where he's basically like, I think most comedians are slightly autistic, and he's just going this whole thing where it's like, I'm uncomfortable with myself. I don't know how really, I really don't know how to do it myself when I actually talk to people. But I can go
Right.
on a stage and be the center of attention and make you identify with me. But I can't talk to you one on one without feeling weird.
Yeah, that's strangely sad. And you want to know the guy who I identify the most with when it comes to that is wow. Okay. The guy I identify the most with when it comes to that is Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
Is like, I mean, I'm never going to be that level of success or understand his world any, but when that guy was just like alone in his last days, like smoking cartons of cigarettes a day, passing jokes to Jay Leno. It's like, yeah, read this on air, and he would watch his old show, and Jay Leno would kind of do one of his jokes on air as kind of an homage to Carson and a way to say I appreciate what you sent me or whatever. That is so fucking sad. It's like, here I am in this castle and I have no friends. Everyone hates me. And, you know, and if you and with Johnny Carson, if you ever got on his bad side, you were fucking fucked. And Joan Rivers could tell you all about, like, don't ever defy the Carson.
Yeah.
But this was a guy who was essentially alone on a bed of money, and like with no friends. Nobody cared whether he lived or died. And even his own children couldn't stand him at the end. And it's like that always scares Johnny Carson scared the shit out of me, because it's like, here's a guy who, it's like he had everything and he had nothing, and it's a story that really, it kind of resonated with me when I heard about his last years, because I forget who was, I know Jay Leno talked about it, and I think Jerry Seinfeld did too, and it was like, this guy was totally alone. He was just like sitting on a bed of gold, and everyone hated him, or he didn't, or he, not everyone hated him, but he didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
Like, no one was following up every day with Johnny, like, "How you doing, man?" Yeah, no, fuck no. that was that was never part of his world.
That reminds me of, Frank Boyd has a similar sad ending, um, and that's the guy who helped develop like the F-15, the F-16, and like brought about reform in weapons development. And, like one of his guys helped come up with the A-10 Warthog and all that stuff. And
Oh, is this the guy's like the world's best general, the world's worst father?
yeah,
Okay, okay.
because like yeah, he had like 6 kids, and like he was just like I mean he did so many things to be basically so clean and impeccable. Like he when he he did conferences places, they would pay for his, or they give him vouchers for his flights, but basically he paid for every flight. And in order to do that, to be so that he was never in somebody's pocket, he basically like lived in the ghettos with his family, and like one of his kids was disabled and like really needed things, but like we're just gonna live in this weird ghetto, and and like he's a
And this guy was a defense contractor, for everyone who doesn't know.
he's a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force.
Yeah, yeah. This is
um and made some money, but he did not use any of it. He used everything to like bring about real reform, and like he was perfectionist and like all these things, and it just came at the total expense of his family. And like he had real friends, like, but you, in order to be his friend, you had to be a perfectionist as well, and like be as smart as him, because he
uh-huh.
just never stopped working, and family was just a distraction.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say like he loved his children. He just sucked at it.
Yeah, he cared, but it was a really abstract concept. And that's one of those things at the end of life when it's like, oh, they're lowering the casket into the ground. Yeah, the only people gathered around that are your family. I mean,
Yeah,
nobody else gives a fuck.
yeah. His funeral was like, for like he was like attended by the people that stuck it, like had to fight all these contractors that, I mean, those people were at his funeral, but like otherwise like nobody was there, and a lot of people hated him because like the people that just wanted to rip off the government and get a bunch of money and buy weapons that were useless, like they hated him.
Yeah.
Like
This
nobody
guy
really
fucked us. He
no,
screwed up our fleasing.
yeah, and like nobody, like there's only a few people that understood what he was doing, and like he was right in the long run, but he had to sacrifice so many things to be right. and people still think he's wrong.
Well, it's one thing to sacrifice for yourself, like to sacrifice, I don't know, how would you say it, like a level of integrity or some badge you might wear, but it's something else when you drag your family through hell for these kind of nebulous values that no one's going to give a fuck about. Because I mean, the sad thing about what you're talking about is that that machine just rolled over him and carried on.
Yeah.
It's like to this day, F-22 Raptors, perfect example. That whole system of corruption and being fucked up. It's like, why'd you fight it? It's like everyone remembers you as a hero, but that's the thing. It's like some of these famous writers. No one appreciates these guys till after they're dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, does that matter? Well, once you're dead, it's over. You don't get to. It's like, let's resurrect him and talk. And no, doesn't happen.
The extra sad thing is like after he kind of like there's that point where he was losing relevancy, where like he wasn't in the thing anymore. He was still giving like his talk that he did,
Yeah.
Patterns of Conflict, which is now like is still like one of the most revered talks about warfare that there is, and like only like 3 people are qualified to actually give it nowadays.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who makes sure there's only 3 people, the defense groups?
Well, no, it was like that was his closest friends that are still around.
Oh, okay, yeah, those guys.
There's like Sperry or whatever. He still gives it, and he's the guy that helped develop the A-10 Warthog. But he's also, those guys are all rich because those are all like engineer contractors that work for the government, but they also went off and like did their own thing. Like one guy, he has an award-winning recording studio, and there's no mixing boards or anything like that. It's all done by ear and like human intuition and stuff like that. And it's like people consider it like the best recording studio and won awards and stuff. Like they're not letting machines tell them what they're doing. Like they actually have people like evaluate things.
Oh, okay.
Which is what it was like one of the things they took away from like your weapons development is like you can't just let machines tell you what's working or not. Like you're human beings. You have your own sensory things and intuitions you can use.
Right.
And then when it comes to music, it would make sense. Like the machine's not going to tell you what's right. You can tell it what's right. But like these guys have patents and shit like that too. So like they've made tons of money that way. But yeah, so like those people are like the people that are close to them are like the only ones that really qualified to give the speech because it like involves everything. Like it's a book about 100 books long, and they're really in like 4 different versions of the Art of War. Like you have to know every different version of the Art of War.
Oh, the Sun Tzu book.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like the different translations. Like here's the W.E.B. Du Bois translation. Here's this translation. It's like 4 different ones, and you have to.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. And then you have to just other talk to him because like he'd call people in the middle of the night and have like 3-hour conversations just arguing about something. Like you knew where you were his friends if Boyd talked to you at night.
You got the 3 a.m. phone call. It's like, let's debate Far Eastern philosophy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Stone sober, by the way.
Yeah, and then he's not. Of course, he's not. He's not spending time with his kids doing that. If you're doing that, but that was like an extra sad thing is that like I think he died of pancreatic cancer, and like near the end there, like the only thing he had to do was give that speech, and then even at some point like no one was asking him to give that speech anymore, or he just couldn't be able to do it because he was in so much pain.
Yeah.
And then and like every time at some point like near the end, like every time he talked to one of his friends, he just kind of broke down crying, wishing his family loved him. Yeah, it's fucking sad.
Yeah, there's just nothing good coming out of that.
I mean, no, a lot of good came out of it, but
I bet you the Reagan years must have fucking killed that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that must have been like the end of the fucking road for him. Because there was more bullshit came out of the Reagan years as far as defense contracting than anything you'd ever seen.
Yeah.
But that is sad. Well, anyway, did you have anything else for this week?
Are we gonna talk about Helix next week? Are you gonna go deep?
I'm gonna try.
All right.
I mean, I've seen the first series. I just haven't seen the second one.
Oh no, it's not out yet. So I just want to talk about the first season.
Oh yeah, we can do that next week or Wednesday or what's your schedule like this week?
The same.
Oh, it's the same. Okay. Well, like I said, but you don't have school, right?
No, not right now.
Okay. Well, this is mainly off-air stuff. So, anyway, This week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
And
Goodbye,
I wanna-
America. Oh.
Well, before we goodbye, America, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. It's going to be late. Oh, fuck, by the time this gets out, it's going to be 2 weeks late. But
Happy New Year's.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Next week's episode, we're going to have a best of. We're going to do best of the year. I don't know when we're going to do that, but it'll probably come sooner than later.
I don't know. The way I was trying to think about it at the last night, it's like I can't really think of best of things. Because like I'm iffy about any movie that was a best of, because it was like the year before it was Gravity, and then like before that was like Drive. Is like definitively I can say that's the best year, and then like I probably had an album I could talk about, and then I could definitely have a game. But like this year, like I don't know what game, I don't know what album, I don't know what movie is the best of the year.
Well, good, because the next podcast is going to be all about that. So you'll have time to. Well, yeah, we can debate this.
The definitive 2014, the definitive edition.
Yeah. I don't even know if we're gonna do a Nine Inch Nails album next podcast. We might just do a best of debate. Throw it around for a few hours,
Well,
3 hours.
Hesitation Mark's 2014, so I guess it'll be in the mix.
Yeah, that could be. You're gonna have to send me that though. Anyway, this is off air stuff. So anyway, this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Merry Christmas, and go ahead.
Goodbye, America.
Once in Royal David City, stood a lonely cattle shed. Where a mother held her baby. You'd do well to remember the things he later said. When you're stuffing yourselves at the Christmas parties, you'll just laugh when I tell you to take a running jump. You're missing the point, I'm sure it does not need making. That Christmas spirit is not what you drink.